And what is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. JV Wins, Dogon SS. We are here once again for another edition of the Conscious Approach video series on YouTube. Thanks to everybody out there who has been subscribing to the channel and following along with us on this harrowing journey as we continue to kick this logical content. Before we get things kicked off, a few disclaimers as always. We are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. For all of our audio listeners out there who are not necessarily always in position to check us out on YouTube, we are now available in those spaces as well. Just trying to be available in all places possible. We are now also sharing our content on the Conscious Approach TikTok page as well. So if you are active over on TikTok, check us out over there at Con Approach, CONAPPROACH. And just as a general thing that I would like to say, and I've been saying this for a while, but I do want to repeat it because I do think it's important. We don't take for granted the value of your digital currency. I consume a fair bit of content between podcasts, YouTube, and the like. And I probably actually subscribe/follow not even 10% of all of the content that I come across and the content creators that I regularly pay attention to. So for me to make the effort to actually click on that button means that I find value in what they are delivering, so much so that I want to be a part of their community. So your digital currency is important. We don't take it for granted. It's earned and not given. So I don't expect for you to just hand it over. It is a powerful resource, and we do covet it very much so. So to everybody out there who has been hitting that subscribe button, following along with us on the channel, it does not go unnoticed, and we sincerely appreciate it. So I just wanted to say that because I like to get that across to anybody who might think that we don't take for granted the fact that you might actually be so inclined as to subscribe to the channel. And to anybody else who has not done so, if this is your first time checking out what we do here on the channel, this is how we like to kick it. As Jay-Z once said on an unreleased Blueprint track, my rhymes are like a Rubik's Cube. Every album's a color, but sometimes I F up the other color. And that just goes to say that not every video is going to be perfect. Not every video is going to be great, but we stand on all of it. We don't take stuff down. We don't delete stuff. It is a record of history for this channel and for the various pieces of content that we like to deliver. So whether you like or dislike or hate, despise, love, whatever it is that we do, we stand on it, and we do stand on business in that regard. So that's just how we like to roll here. We are not trying to cultivate a cult. We're just trying to have some interesting conversations and kick around some interesting ideas. So with that out of the way, we'll go ahead and get things kicked off. Some interesting things to talk about this evening. The first thing that we are going to get into is Master P, who has officially retired from music. So he recently performed at Essence Fest down in his home city of New Orleans. And during his performance, he announced that he was officially retiring from music and that he was going to be focusing the lion's share of his energies into his efforts in the sports world. More specifically, he recently accepted a position to be president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans. Master P, of course, has history with sports and athletics. He was actually he is one of the few hip hop guys who actually was really good at basketball. At one point, he was on practice squads in the NBA. I think off the top, I think one was the Raptors, and I think the Hornets too. I think he was also on the practice squad for the Hornets at one point. So Master P is actually really good at basketball. It's always been a passion of his, and he's now the president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans. And in making the announcement that he is sort of focusing the majority of his energies in that arena, no pun intended, he also announced that he was retiring from music. But what I found interesting with his comments about retiring from music is why he said he's retiring from music. And he mentioned how there's a lot of negativity around the world of hip hop, and no one seems to want to talk about the positive stuff. There just seems to be a lot of hoopla around the negative stuff. And so he just no longer wants to be a part of that ecosystem and instead wants to leave it behind and move on and start really diving into and focusing pretty much exclusively on sports. So I thought that that was pretty interesting, and I thought that it would be worth us talking about on the channel. So first, to provide a little context, we'll go ahead and share this article. This says Master P explains why he's officially retiring from music. Master P has confirmed that he's retiring from music after accepting a job as the president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans. Speaking with people ahead of his Essence Festival performance, he admitted that the set will be his final show. He ended up taking the stage at the event on Sunday night. My last show has to be with Essence. It has to be big, a celebration, he told the outlet. It's a blessing now to be able to transition into doing something that's bigger than me. Being a servant is my most important job. I feel like hard work got me here. And even though I didn't know I was going to get this far in life, God spared my life and put me on this journey. That chapter closed itself with maturing and growing up and not being afraid to grow. He added that the decision was hard to make, but explained, I feel like this is the next phase of my life. There is a lot of negative stuff going on in hip hop, and people don't want to talk about the positive things. They say when you know better, you do better. That's the phase I'm on. I'm fine with growing up. Master P originally accepted the position at the University of New Orleans back in February. During an introductory press conference at the time, he said of the gig, we've come a long way. Growing up in New Orleans when I was a kid, I looked at the University of New Orleans basketball program as probably one of the best in the country. Every kid wanted to come to the Lakefront Arena and be a part of this. He continued, I'm just so appreciative and blessed that God has given me this opportunity to rebuild this program. We're going to change this. This is our culture. This is our team. This is our family. We want to give that family love out here to the city to bring the people back where it should be at. Master P previously attended the University of Houston on a sports scholarship and even spent brief stints with the Charlotte Hornets and Toronto Raptors in the 1998 and 1999 preseasons. So, yeah, so those are Master P's words, talking about wanting to move on and officially retiring from music and getting away from the negativity in hip hop to focus on sports. So, what did you think about Master P's comments in his retirement? You muted. You muted, Dylan.
My bad. Yeah, man, I'm not surprised. I feel as though I feel as though Master P has already been retired from music. I can't even think of the last time I actually heard a Master P track. Anything that he was affiliated with. So, I guess to formally retire, I guess, but you really don't see rappers saying that they're retired for the most part. I guess here or there they'll say that they don't plan on making nothing else, but to just come out here and just say, I'm retiring as if, um, you know, people actually are gonna miss him. Uh, I find that interesting because I've over the years I've grown to appreciate the business mind of Master P, um, or so the perception of his business mind, because he talks a good game, but his track record is horrendous. The only person that wins in Master P contracts is Master P. Um, his track record speaks for itself. Hell, even with the Essence Fest thing, he had a little faux pas with Mia X, Mama Mia, and her whole thing was like, "Look, bro, I'm not getting on stage. Like, I'm not doing this." It was all for Master P and his ego, and he was all like, "Hey, man, just put your fatigues on and get hype, And this is my retirement, But she didn't want any parts of it, because she just feels as though she's just clickbait for him, in lack of better words. So, and amongst other people who've had bad business deals with him, including his own son. So, Master P, he walks around, he talks a good game. He's always the victim. Everybody around him everybody around him never wants to work. He's the only one that wants to work or has the right business mind, and I'm tired of hearing about it. So, his music was never good. He's probably got 2 songs that I listen to where it's just him. I don't even think he's just on those songs. I think it's features on those 2. But the beats go crazy. So honestly, as far as when Master P came out, really wasn't a fan. I thought he was not good. But over the years, like I said, I appreciated his business acumen, but then more time has waned, and well, I'm not really a fan of that either. So overall, it's a good riddance from the rap game. Whether you're making deals or doing deals that don't pan out for your artists, or you're not putting nails on chalkboard and trying to rap anymore. Either event, I'm good on the other side of that. So hopefully he makes a good business endeavor out of being head of basketball operations. But I'm telling you right now, if there's some type of scandal or something like that dealing with NIL funds or whatever, don't be surprised. Not to say he's going to steal or anything, but if he promised these kids something that they never got, don't be shocked. But what are your thoughts, man, on Master P saying that, hey, man, he's done with the rap game and he's calling it quits? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, in terms of the music industry, Master P preceded Birdman. Well, no, Puff was before Master P. So I guess Diddy was the original blueprint for being a shisty manager of a record label in terms of siphoning the resources of his artists and eating off the top. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say Master P was another individual who was similar in that regard, along with Birdman. Hence,
Mm-hmm.
why there are so many artists now who complain about their working relationship with him after all this time.
Mm-hmm.
But I found what he said as to the reason why he's retiring interesting. Talking about how there's so much negativity in hip hop and how he uh, is he seemed disenchanted by the fact that no one ever seems to want to talk about the positivity. They just want to kind of deal in the negativity when it comes to that particular aspect of the music industry. I thought that that was a bit ironic given his history with the kind of music he was making when he was at his peak. I would argue, and it is debatable, but I would suggest that he contributed to some of the negative energy
100%.
during his prime,
100%.
during his peak. But I will be consistent. I have said often on this channel that every human has the capacity to undergo a paradigm shift. And if this happens to be the point in which Master P has undergone a paradigm shift, I hope he sticks with it. And I hope he doesn't carry any of the so called negativity that he claims to now be above from being a part of the music industry into how he deals with his sports endeavors. And you brought up a point about weird NIL deals, and that's kind of what I was thinking. Is I really do hope that at some point we don't learn that there was a illegal exchange of funds, or you know something was he was getting something taken off the top with boosters, or whatever he ends up developing as president of basketball operations at the University of New Orleans. I just hope that it's within the parameters of the rules and that it's on the up and up, because if it comes out that there was any sort of illegality or any weird stuff going on, I kind of feel like within a sports context, in a roundabout way, he would be cultivating that own brand of negativity. Thus, he would look a bit like a hypocrite in terms of talking about how he's walking away from music to escape negativity. Because if you're leaving music to escape negativity, but then you cultivate your own brand of negativity within the sports context, I'm not exactly sure that you did anything different. Now, I'm not suggesting that that's going to happen. I'm not speculating that it will happen. I'm just saying that I hope it does not happen. because there's a tendency for a lot of these individuals to do a lot of double talking, and they sing a good tune, but then they go right back to doing what they've always been doing. And the king dingaling individual that I'm thinking of when it comes to this is Meek Mill, who, and I'll never let this go. I'll never let this go. The fact that this guy stood up in front of a crowd of enlightened intellectual people at a media conference and talked about how the music industry profits off of negativity. And he essentially contextualized his comments the within the notion that he's aware of this and wants to make changes to do things for the better. But then he proceeds to make the same music that he's been making. And he proceeds to put out the same kind of music, thus profiting off of the same exact negativity that he was railing against when he was making his public appearances, doing his albums with his boy Rick Ross, Shaq and Kobe, talking about shooting and snitching and prison and the same old stuff that he's been talking about for the lion's share of his career, engaging in all types of victimhood, but then wanting to talk about how the music industry profits off of negativity. Well, then, Mr. Meek Mill, why don't you be a change agent and make different kinds of music so that you're no longer contributing to this ecosystem that profits off of negativity? Instead, you choose to go right back into the studio and make more music centered around said negativity. So, a lot of these artists, these rappers who can't get out of their own way and double talk, they tend to put their foot in their mouth and come out looking like an oxymoron, a walking hypocrite. And for Master P's sake, because I can understand the sentiment, if he felt as though continuing to try to be a part of music was inviting all of the negativity that he wants to steer clear of, and he feels as though this is his vessel to be able to do it, I'm going to tell him good luck, and I hope it works out. I hope his passion for basketball is what remains the focus, and uplifting and putting young men in positions to prosper and do well in their own respective futures. I hope that that remains the focus, and I hope that he does not revert back to bot it Master P and take some of that energy over into the sports world. Because I would say that that era of music was largely, not largely, but it played a hand in creating a lot of the negativity that he speaks of. So, hopefully he does not double talk himself. Hopefully he doesn't pull a Meek Mill, and hopefully he doesn't get into these positions when it comes to running sports programs. But he's essentially doing the same thing that he was doing when he was running No Limit.
Yeah, I mean, let's hope so, man. Fingers crossed, bro. But like I said, man, this dude's got a track record. So I'm not wishing ill will on a man, but yeah, I'm with you in the sense of don't bring that energy over here, because like I mentioned in my first statement, he's got a pretty strong track record from people that were very close to him that don't have very nice things to say about him, and he'll always spin it because he's a spin artist on how those people never really wanted it as much as him, or they didn't want to work, or
They
all this
didn't
other
have what
stuff.
they didn't have what it took. Yeah.
Right, all of that mumbo jumbo. But yeah, man, that's the sounds of somebody who's a shisty business person. So yeah, hopefully he's on the up and up, man, and don't mess with these kids' lives and future. Even though it's a university in New Orleans where it's not very much talent that comes through there. I'm not knocking the guys that go there, but I mean, there's no Power Five program, Power Four, or whatever they want to call it nowadays. So, but yeah, man, just wishing those dudes the best. But at the bottom line, Master P is a bottom line guy, and I'm pretty sure if it was not him, it is well known at this point, though. But people talk about how there's no money to be made in the music industry, period. Anyway, so him making a shift from you're eating what you kill, as far as a music executive or artist or whatever he would be in the music industry. There's not very much money out there, streaming, all these other things, and come on, who's signing to No Limit nowadays? So there's really no money for him to be making in the music industry anymore. Even if he wants to get fat off old streams and stuff like that, I mean, we've already covered when Snoop was talking about how many billions of streams he got and how much pennies he actually received for it. So Master P will be making no money in the foreseeable future in the music industry. So him jumping ship is not more this situation where he's reached some zenith in his life, and he's actually at some zen state where he's like, you know what, it's time for me to give back. No, it's time for you to get a stable check. That's what this is. And so he played around with the NFL thing as far as being with the sports situation, and now him getting into this. I see this as a stable check. Back when I was a cab driver, man, I enjoyed the hustle, man. I was out there, man, making that cash. And when Uber and Lyft became a thing, and the competition got stiff, money wasn't what it used to be. And as much as I love to be out there and making my own money, making my own schedule, air quote, it got to a point where it was like, hey, man, me doing all this hustling is hustling backwards. I'm actually losing free time for how much I actually have to hustle to pay bills. So at some point, man, I was sitting there while I'm out there on my hustle, reminiscing on a stable check, only working 40 hours a week. And so Master P has a lifestyle to keep up with, and rap ain't gonna pay those bills. So him getting a stable check and him doing something that he would want to do, I would assume, is something that's in athletics, something with basketball. So yeah, this is him wanting to get a stable check. And on top of that, I don't know how about it you can be when you're the head of some basketball program. So it's also a conflict of interest as well. It's not a really good look when you got rappers out here talking about they sell about a pound, and you around here trying to save kids at some youth program. So
It happens though. I
it,
mean, that's the weird thing. Not to cut you off, but it
it,
happens. How many of these guys are making songs about murder, death, kill actively, but then they're funding youth programs and trying to help kids out? It's a weird, like, vexing paradox of a dynamic, but I don't see how he can be an exception. I think he can definitely fall into such a thing. That's why I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt in
mm-hmm,
saying I hope that does not happen. Because it's weird, you start entering into a world now, because I think that this might be the first of many in terms of athletic programs, looking to fill certain vacancies within the program now that, college athletics has become pay to win. It always was pay to win, but now it's officially pay to win. And
mm-hmm,
so now that these, programs are creating vacancies for general managers and president of, operations for the programs, I think Master P potentially serves as the first of what I think will be many in terms of programs reaching out to record label executives, or people like him, people who are influential when it comes to the community from a cultural standpoint. People like, not specifically Diddy, but people in his position. Oh, they run a record label and they connect with the community because they're in the hip hop space and they have a good business acumen. So let's put them in positions to run our program. I feel like this is the first of what will eventually be many. And I think that their track record, to your point, when it comes to the world that they come from, is highly questionable.
mm-hmm,
And so I just think about the possible ramifications if a lot of those same business sensibilities from the world of hip hop get taken into things like college athletics, when you're dealing with the lives of young people who are on the straight and narrow, who don't come from the street life per se, and who are just trying to play sports in order to create a viable future for themselves. And so I wouldn't want individuals such as him or others in his position to potentially compromise that because they want to bring Bad Boy Records or No Limit Records or Death Row Records or whatever records into the college athletics area.
mm-hmm. Yeah, so whenever he lands that 4-star recruit that's from Louisiana, he went somewhere originally, didn't get any playing time, but say, hey man, I'm gonna transfer and play with Master P, and then when that kid eventually transfers and talks about how Master P did him wrong, Master Master P's gonna come out and say he didn't want it enough. Sometimes some guys say that they want it, but they have to put in the work on the side, and they don't want to do that. So, he's gonna do all his little speeches. So I'm
I wish,
already
I
ready
wish,
for
I wish him all the best of luck. Good.
it. Yeah, man. So I wish Master P the best of luck, man, with all of this. So he entertains me. He entertains me now as just he's a character to me as a character of a music executive, and he's I don't really look at him with that business mind that I once did. So hopefully this character pans out for those who like the University of New Orleans. Hopefully this has a positive impact somehow. I don't want this to be a weird situation, but if it ends up being one, wouldn't be shocked in the slightest.
Right. I feel that. I just hope everything works out for these kids who are under his stewardship while he's at that position. Again, I'm not saying that it's not going to go well. I'm not saying that it will go left. I'm not predicting that,
Hmm.
but you know, I'd be remiss if I didn't cop to the fact that the thought crossed my mind of what this could potentially mean. And like I said before, I feel like if what he does achieve a certain modicum of success, you'll see the model replicated where
Hmm.
there will be more and more of these types of positions in college athletics specifically, specifically basketball and football, reaching out not necessarily to people who from a merit standpoint it makes sense to give them these kinds of jobs, but reaching out to people such as him who have a who have some business acumen, albeit within a different context, but are but have some sort of cultural relevance. And so let's go there to try to make that work. And it is what it is. If that's the way they want to do it, then fine. I just hope that it doesn't compromise the lives of these kids who are trying to make something of themselves by playing sports. So I just don't want to see, like I said before, I don't want to start seeing college athletic programs getting run like record labels. And you got and if he talks about wanting to get into this because there's too much negativity in hip hop, then I would just caution him against any sort of action or behavior or form of business or any sort of decision that would be interpreted as bringing some of that same negativity over into the sports world, even though everything you said suggests that you're not about that. So I'm looking out for that. But um, I did find his comments interesting, and I hope that it works out. Mostly for the athletes, not necessarily for him. I hope he sticks to his word, of course,
All
but
right.
I don't want to see the athletes getting caught up in some BS.
Right. So, hey, best of luck to y'all out there in Nolans. You know what I'm saying? The know you. But yeah, man, I want those kids to have a bright future, bro. So, if he provides that for them, I'm all for it. So,
Yeah. Shouts out to the University of New Orleans, man. Y'all got y'all work cut out for you.
hey, man, you heard about what Sacramento's doing? Sacramento State. You got to look into that.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
They're dropping big time bread. So, we'll see. With the age of NIL, anything can happen. So
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
probably making their stab right now.
Yeah. All right, and now we have a Flavor Flav. I do believe this is the first time we've ever talked about Flavor
Absolutely.
Flav on the channel.
Yep.
So we are popping the Flavor Flav cherry here. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, Flavor Flav has never been talked about on Conscious Approach, but there's a first time for everything. Flavor Flav has petitioned to have guns banned in the U.S. Is in a passionate op-ed, so to speak. He's talked about how, he just feels some type of way about the direction the country is going in terms of, you know, um, the culture around, violence and whatnot, and how he fears for his children going to school and all of this other stuff. And so this kind of hit the waves a bit because it's Flavor Flav not being a a minstrel show, as he usually is, but rather speaking poignantly about how he feels about the direction that the country needs to go when it comes to firearms. So to provide some context here, this says Flavor Flav calls on guns to be banned in America. Flavor Flav has made a public plea for the government to ban access to guns across America. The Public Enemy legend penned an op-ed for Newsweek and described how he feels guns have made the country less safe. He wrote, I fear for my kids when I drop them off at school. Our schools aren't safe and our kids aren't safe. This is because gun protection laws are weak. Guns are falling into the hands of the wrong people. I would know. I went to jail because of guns. I ended up on Rikers Island. So I am speaking from firsthand experience. Fear and power are two of the biggest emotions that drive us. America is being built on fear. You have people who are scared, and these people are fighting for gun rights to protect themselves. They wouldn't have to protect themselves if all guns were banned. Fear is a powerful short term motivator. We need to flip it so it can break through to be a positive and valuable resource. Let our fear of losing our children be more powerful than our fear of our next door neighbor. Legendary hype man continued. Right now, it's too easy for kids to grab their parents' guns. They are motivated by fear of being disliked, fear of not being accepted, fear of being made fun of. It makes them feel powerless. Some choose to take their power back and show up their peers and show up those peers. This happens so often. We have started to become numb to it as a society. It's barely in the news if it's less than a handful of people who were unalived, and then the news cycle moves on to something else. The hits just keep on coming. Uh, school school shootings are normalized. The lack of gun laws has created a violence epidemic here in the United States that is nowhere else in the world. This is domestic. Uh, I don't know if they forgot the T there. This is domestic, or is that a word? Errorism? Is that a word? I've
Nah.
never heard that before. Flav concluded by saying his and Chuck D's concerns about guns led to a new Public Enemy track. I hope this song, March Madness, reignites the conversation. I hope this song sparks change. I hope this anthem gives a voice to those who feel powerless against the system of power and greed. I hope we can come together to create a wall of unity with peace and togetherness that is so strong, no one can divide and tear us down. So, that got picked up by a lot of media outlets, but that was posted to Newsweek as via his contribution. I'm pretty sure he had somebody write that for him. But what did you think about Flavor Flav's plea to have weapons banned in the U.S.?
But before I go, man, why you think somebody wrote that for him, bro?
The guy wears a giant clock around his neck, so you know
Uh,
I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, but
funny,
I don't
man.
take somebody who wears a giant clock around their neck seriously from a journalistic standpoint.
I hear you. So I mean, I guess my take is similar to that. So the interesting thing about Public Enemy is that Public Enemy, uh, they made some strong songs. Chuck D, whenever I hear him speak, um, he's on brand. Um, if he's ever said anything that was off brand, it's so rare that I can't even really remember, which is pretty good in my world. I remember one crazy thing he said, but I can't pinpoint one crazy thing Chuck D has actually said. So he did run around with Flavor, and Flavor, as much as a minstrel show as he is he was no dummy himself, even though he played one. However, throughout the years, he did become more of a caricature, which is hard to believe because he was a character when he first came out. A la Flavor of Love and that whole debacle, and what that has contributed to society. Um, Now, here's my thing on guns. Um, I really think that the gun banning conversation is, I don't want to say pointless. I would like to say it's a lot more nuance than guns bad. And if you take guns away, then bad things are going to stop happening. That's not true.
Right, right, right.
And all of the stuff that he was talking about in that article, school incidents and this incident, that incident, all of those things have its own root cause and has nothing to do with a firearm. And so if you want to have a grandstand moment where you say, if this was eliminated, life would be better in America, then those root cause for those various things that you was naming, like school things or this thing or that thing, whatever's going on in gang culture or whatever, if you get to the root cause of those things and have that same kumbaya or whatever and eliminate whatever those individual root causes are, then those problems will go away. But unfortunately, we live in a society that feeds into all of these various root causes. So as a result, people end up grabbing anything that causes violence and then bestows that upon people. So in the UK, your boy made news out there. Top 5 made news out there,
That's
in
all.
the so out there in the UK, man, they not allowed to slang them hammers. So they got to do a lot of sword wielding. So there's a lot of stabbings out there. You know, and so the reason why they're stabbing so much is because, well, they can't fire. So the same thing will happen here. People are just going to find alternatives to get out this level of frustration. Now, granted, you can say that there'll be less this, less that, or whatever, but at the same time, the violence won't stop. And on top of that, there's all kinds of things that are illegal in this country, and people still find their hands on them. So, and if somebody is really out of their mind, which a school, um, a school,
Incident.
yeah, incident person, that person is out of their mind. Somebody that would light a fire in an Idaho wooded area so firefighters could come out and then unalive them. That person's already crazy. So they're willing to do any darn thing. So, classic pulling at the heartstrings. What about the kids? X, Y, and the Z. I'm in favor of people having uh, their firearms. I'm not against a ban. I just think I think that people in today's day and age, where there are so many radical people out here, you having something at your house to protect yourself from other radical people, I don't think that's such a bad idea. But what are your thoughts, man, on Flavor Flav saying that, hey, man, guns bad and we need to ban them? What are your thoughts, bro?
I largely agree with you. I understand where he's coming from, and I feel like a lot of people feel like this because it's a last recourse. I think that this. I think the gun conversation is highly nuanced. Of course, I agree with what you said there, and it ultimately amounts to like putting a dressing over an open wound instead of treating the wound. To me,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, it's it's so your point about addressing the root cause is the main point that I wanted to make here.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe that if you removed firearms from the equation, I believe one can suggest or surmise that there will be less loss of life on a mass level, and to certain people that's enough. But it's not going to make the violence go away. And oftentimes, people are still going to find the means to get what they need, even if it's illegal.
Exactly.
So I don't really think that addresses much. I think what you have to do is address the root cause of what you know, sort of propels people to act out in various ways in which they feel like they have no other option but to do stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like our society is just dealing with an existential crisis of just being inundated constantly with all sorts of subjective messaging that puts people in certain emotional states. And for individuals who are on the precipice of acting out on those various emotional states, one too much exposure to a lot of those messages causes them to act out. So I kind of feel like that's what needs to be addressed, but no one wants to address that because there's too much money to be made in media. Like I feel like that's what needs to be fixed. In my opinion, nowadays, people, and I've said this before, people have way too much access to media and subjective messaging to the point that you could corral yourself in your own personal individual echo chamber and only be exposed to what you want to expose, thus cultivating a society of individuals who sort of mire in their own form of individual fundamentalism based on the kind of stuff that they want to believe in. And because you can control the flow of access of information that comes to you, but receive that flow of access 24/7, because we're all addicted to our devices and we're all addicted to our phones. Whenever an individual encounters the antithesis of their own brand of fundamentalism, they react towards that antithesis aggressively. Now, sometimes that aggressive reaction comes in the form of online comment sections where people are just arguing back and forth. But sometimes that reaction to the antithesis of your fundamentalism gets manifested physically in terms of arguments, shouting matches. Sometimes they result in fights. Sometimes they result in people grabbing weapons. So if you don't address that, which is a large, obvious, huge, overarching conversation in terms of how do we deal with the existential threat of people constantly being overtly inundated with all sorts of subjective messaging 24/7, and you can't escape it. It's on your phone. To people who still watch TV, it's on most television shows. If you like to stream, if you like to listen to podcasts, it's one of the reasons why I had to move away from dating and relationship podcasts. I found myself dwelling in my own form of personal fundamentalism when it comes to my outlook on relationships and women.
Mm-hmm.
Part of this, we talk often about the epidemic of men who hate women, feel as though their problems are women's faults, don't have the requisite social skills to be more successful with women, so they blame women for all their problems. Part of their own personal brand of fundamentalism comes from the fact that they seek answers via inundating themselves with all of these dating and relationship podcasts on YouTube and Spotify and various other platforms, where they're basically being told that if they're not making six figures a year, if they're not of a certain height, and if they don't have a certain amount of, certain kinds of looks in terms of aesthetics or how they dress or how they move or how they talk or how they act, if they don't fit a particular kind of profile, there's nothing that they can do. They're going to be unsuccessful with women. You don't think a guy who's listening to that kind of messaging all the time is going to develop some kind of a complex in the world? And at some point, he's going to act on that complex. And that's just one example. The whole dating and relationship apparatus is just one example of how somebody can become entrenched in their own personal brand of fundamentalism.
Mm-hmm.
So until you address this media crisis that people clearly do not have a level of responsibility for being able to manage themselves, we're going to continue to figure out surface level ways to address deep seated problems. Like, let's ban all the weapons. And I agree with you. That doesn't really address the root. It's just a band-aid over an open sore.
Exactly.
And the sore is not going to heal unless you address that thing. And there's plenty more where that came from, man. I mean, you have to monitor and measure how you come into contact and consume the messages that you consume, or else they'll drive you down a rabbit hole. And if you go too far down the rabbit hole, you might not be able to get yourself out of it. And if you're a bit unhinged in terms of being able to manage how you emotionally confront your various rabbit holes in your own little psyche in terms of how you feel about certain things, you might project that in ways that are dangerous to yourself and other people. So I think it sounds nice and cute to talk about we need to do this when it comes to guns. We need to ban this. We need to get rid of that. But it's not really addressing the threat existentially that is causing a lot of people to act on this stuff. And until a lot of that stuff is addressed, I don't feel like any of this stuff is going to stop.
Yeah, man. 1000%, bro. And you know, coming up, probably in my, I don't know, my late teenage years, early 20s, um, just listening to various radio stations and stuff like that, where some people might call it conservative. I don't know. And the gun conversation would come up whenever something radical would happen in the news, and so now there's this whole gun debate. And the thing that they would always say is, the reason why we had the right to bear arms is to protect ourselves from the government. And back in late '99, early 2000, you kind of felt like, that's true. They got guns. We should have guns too to protect ourselves. Checks and balances. Well, not anymore. Not anymore, man. What did he say? So, and I think I don't know if I referenced it on here before, but Andre 3000, bro, he had a bar back on the Aliens album. And I think when I Googled it, it's the song Babylon. But he was saying that hey man, they made those gaps. And he said they probably got some stuff that'll blow out our back from where they stay at. And that was back in the late 90s. And now, with all of this advanced technologies, all of this stuff where, well, we have the right to bear arms to protect ourselves from the government. I think that the arms race that America has been in over the last century has put them in such a position that, your little 9mm ain't gonna do nothing to the stuff that they have. So that argument of us, why we should have it, that's null and void at this point. The reason why I think it is important is that there are very crazy people in the world, and having something like that for protection, I think is necessary. Now, everybody's not going to be on that page of protection. Some people learn martial arts to actually hurt other people, when the actual practice of martial arts is literally self-defense. So, you gotta, it's a tool, and I think it's a useful tool against crazies. So, so if there's a gun ban or something like that, and somebody's really out here wielding knives like that, you know what I'm saying? Now I gotta sit there and wield a knife. I'm not doing that. It's like, get off of my porch or you're done. You know what I'm saying? So I think in those contexts, I think I still think we needed to protect ourselves from each other. I do believe that. But overall, yeah, my stance is root cause, and that's always the like I mentioned, the tearjerker thing, to just say, oh, what about the kids? This, and this, and that. But y'all don't say, what about the kids, when y'all have the wildest stuff streaming on all these platforms, whether it's music, TV, they little Nickelodeon awards. Man, our girl Tyler, you saw her hosting the Nickelodeon awards.
I didn't watch it, but I know she hosted it.
Yeah, man. I'm on TikTok, bro, and they just showing us, what Tyler's got going on, and she's wearing, scantily clad.
Yeah.
Then she brought out Ice Spice.
Well, I mean, yeah, they make kids music, so.
Well, I understand that, but still,
I'm being facetious.
I know what
of
you
course.
mean. Yeah. But I'm saying that's where outrage should be at.
Yeah, sure.
That should be, what about the kids for that?
Yeah.
But there is no, that's what this country does, though. It's the last domino situation, where you look at the last domino and you go, oh, what's going on here? but
Yeah.
you don't see the subsequent dominoes that led up to that, nor
Right.
the hand that pushed it. And so everybody wants to sit there and get into this pharmaceutical, as you mentioned, let's just cure the symptoms and
Yeah.
not the root cause. So this take that he has, which I mean, I don't know. This is the last thing I'll say as far as Flavor Flav. Now that we have new terms, we have updated terms for people like him, and what he did there was an attempt to influence. And Flavor Flav is an influencer, and so I don't know who tapped him to feel obligated to write about gun control. But yeah, him unmuting to, I mean, when do you ever hear of him having any kind of social takes?
Yeah. It seemed pretty random.
It's pretty
Yeah.
random. So for him to have this take of all things and to say, hey guys, blah 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 blah, hey man, we're already losing the rights to a lot of things. I'm not trying to lose that one either. So y'all can bark about something else, but if y'all wanna curb school incidents or gang violence in the street, I would say that there's other things that need to be done instead of removing guns.
Yeah. I mean, and that's well said. I agree with all of that. I believe in freedom, but I do believe that freedom. I believe there is a responsibility that comes along with it. I think that if you cannot handle your various civil liberties and freedom with a certain level of responsibility, then you should not be able to enjoy them. It's the classic Spider-Man line with great power comes great responsibility. Everybody wants to have superpowers, but if you can't handle being a superhero, heroically, you should be stripped of your powers. You shouldn't have them. They should go to someone who can handle the responsibility. And I've always been somebody who was pro freedom, pro everything, let people be able to make their own decisions. But I think it's become quite clear in recent history that there are certain aspects of freedom that most humans cannot handle responsibly. Look, I'm not trying to get draconian here. I still believe in freedom for the most part, but things need to be regulated, because if you leave people up to their own devices, there will be bedlam. You can't. People cannot be allowed to do whatever they want to do. You can't allow it. We're not responsible enough for that. And so the reason why I bring that point up is to just address this fair market, easy access to all forms and manners of information and media. And I'm not saying that that's the sole reason as to why people develop their own personal brands of fundamentalism, but it is a very substantial contributing factor. It does not take a rocket scientist to know the more time you spend on Instagram, the more time you spend on the TikTok, the more time you spend on Facebook, the more time you spend on YouTube, you are opening yourself up to more and more instances of feeling too short, too broke, not good looking enough, not talented enough, not smart enough, just not having it enough. Your car is not good enough. You don't travel enough. You don't take enough trips. You don't fly enough. You're not complete enough because you haven't had kids. Your personal life isn't good enough because you're not married or you don't have a significant other. Like, these are all various forms of messaging that creep into the various recesses of our respective psyches. And depending on how firm you are and how solid you are in terms of your mental, it can cause a degradation of your mental status over time. And that is what's causing people to go crazy out here.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what's causing people to go crazy. If you don't figure out a way to deal with that problem, that crisis, all the gun bans in the world ain't gonna solve much, in my opinion. You're still gonna have a lot of deranged, unhinged people operating in society who have no business walking around people. You're still gonna get cut off in traffic. You're still gonna get people who are aggressively acting towards you for no apparent reason. You're
Mhm.
still going to get people who have no respect for others in public spaces. You're still going to have people who want to fight you. What's going on with them? What are they dealing with on a daily basis? What are they consuming that's causing them to respond in this manner? Trust me, it isn't because there's a weapon there. There's stuff going on over an extended period of time that is causing a gradual decline in their various mental statuses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the first person to use mental health as the excuse for everything, because that's become a popular thing to do. Let's just blame everything on mental health. Mental health is, go see a therapist, that. And I'm a proponent of therapy, but there are certain basic elementary things that you can address without that stuff. And I think a lot of people are just dealing too much. They're trafficking in too much suggestive messaging. And it's okay, because in the society that we live in, where everything is a fair market, you know, everything is go to market, make money, make the billions of dollars, stay private, then go public, sell the stock options, get the IPO. Everything is about the money and the money and the money and the money and the money. And in lieu of that, people are getting hurt because
Mm-hmm.
no one wants to regulate it, because there's too much money to be made from it. So long as that's the case, and we all want to be free enough to consume this stuff at our own leisure, these problems are going to persist. So him and others like him can write all of that mumbo jumbo that they want. It's really not going to fix it, because, as you said, it's not going to address the root cause.
Yeah, 1,000, man. But hey guys, let us know down in the comment section, man. You feel like we're off base? You feel like we're some, I don't know, man, some gun grabbing I don't know, terrorist. What they got?
Errorism. Errorism.
Oh my goodness. Hey man, let us know down in the comment section, guys. Or do you guys agree with Sir Flavor Flav here, man? He might have some valid points. Let us know down in the comment section.
It will on the surface lessen the sheer amount of violence. But I don't know. I've always been a proponent of addressing root causes. And that doesn't address the root cause, because you're still going to have a lot of people who are abjectly miserable, walking
Agreed.
around out here, just living, being miserable, and not addressing why they're miserable. They're just going to continue to walk around living with their misery. And I do believe that that is a lot of people nowadays living with misery.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah, but shout out to Flavor Flav, man. Um, look forward to more of your op-ed pieces and news.
Yeah, man. Like, what the hell? Hey, man, shout out to Chuck D, man. Skr.
Yeah. Now I can't wait to hear what you got to say about this.
It's crazy.
So Jonathan Majors is a friend of the channel at this point. We've talked about Jonathan Majors a few times on the channel. An exchange between him and his now wife, Meagan Good, and fans went viral on social media over the past week, because there were some fans who they were interacting with, and the fans wanted to take pictures with them. And one of the fans wanted to take a picture with Meagan Good. And then in front of Jonathan Majors, the fan asked for Meagan Good's phone number. And, Meagan Good, checked the guy and was like, why would you ask me that? This is my man. And then Jonathan Majors, went Creed on the guy,
Of course.
trying to check him, telling him, to go Google something, being a tough guy, I guess. But I thought that this was a funny exchange, the way that this guy asked for Meagan Good's number right in front of Jonathan Majors, like assuming that they weren't together. I thought that was kind of weird. So this says Jonathan Majors calls out fan for boldly requesting Meagan Good's phone number. Recently, Jonathan Majors and Meagan Good stopped to take photos with a few fans. One of the fans, however, seemed to have unknowingly crossed the line. While getting an autograph from the actress, he asked for her number. This earned a response from Majors, as captured by the Art of Dialogue. Why don't you go Google something, bro? He responded, seeming annoyed that the fan didn't know they were together. Majors and Good tied the knot this March after dating for nearly 2 years. Reportedly, they did so at a private backyard ceremony at their home in Los Angeles. Majors confirmed the big news while promoting his film Magazine Dreams during an appearance on Sherry Shepherd's talk show. I'm not going to read any of that, because I'm not reading that stuff. And it goes on to talk about this business venture that they have together. Honor Culture is a brand that aims to mix physical fitness and with mental health and community. It will reportedly feature wellness events, digital content, and fitness apparel. The couple launched the brand with a wellness experience at the Limitless Wellness House, hosted in partnership with Limitless X Holdings in Medellin, Colombia, over the weekend. I think they misspelled. They forgot an L. It's not just a fitness and wellness brand. It isn't just an app, apparel, or community. It's an opportunity for transformation and invitation for the healing of mind and body. Honor your journey, honor culture, good stated. Majors was convicted of assaulting his ex girlfriend, Grace Jabari, in December of 2023. As a result, he was ordered to 52 weeks of probation and a domestic violence intervention program. Good stood by his side throughout the trial, telling the Breakfast Club in January why she never felt overwhelmed. So here is a video of this exchange where this guy asked for Meagan Good's phone number.
Beautiful in person, just to let you know, yeah.
You say I'm a freak out after?
Can I get a picture too?
Sure, yeah.
Possibly like a number, if that's fine.
Oh, thank you, love.
I said like a number.
Whose number?
Her
My number? No, this is my man.
Why don't you go Google something, bro?
Oh, I didn't know.
Actually,
Whose number? That was funny when he's like, whose number?
Oh man.
Oh, your boy, man, Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, right.
Shouts out to them for being gracious enough, I guess, to interact with the fans and take the pictures. But what did you think about that whole thing, man?
I mean, I feel like that was a reasonable shot attempt, bro. I don't blame, bro. You saw his face. Hey, what? Who you talking to? Hey, Google me, pal. And it's like, come on, bro. And one thing that you're gonna find out, now he's got a point. One thing you're gonna find out when you Google him, he's definitely an aggressor. So he's definitely gonna aggress you. So you might want to back off, Jonathan Majors. But in all seriousness, folks, I might have pulled the same stunt. I might have honestly and reasonably pulled the same stunt there. You know, I had an unhealthy crush type situation on her when I was in high school, man. I forgot what movie. I think it was it a Class Act or it was some kind of goofy teen movie where Marcus Houston, I think he was in it or whatever, house party type thing. But she was in there. I've never seen her up until that point. I didn't even know who she was. But I watched that movie so many times, not because I thought that was a good movie. I watched it just to see Meagan Good again. So, as she's gotten older, man, she's aged well, I would say. I guess she's into fitness. I guess she works out. All right. But yeah, man. I don't know how often bro is gonna ever, I'm pretty sure that's the first time, even being in the same city as that woman. So for him to be there in that moment and feel like, hey, bro, I'm willing to take this one. I think that's pretty reasonable, bro. I gotta be honest, because this to me feels like a Hollywood put on anyway. I'm not buying it. I felt like it was a publicity stunt to a career move for him to sweep something under the rug for his little situation. Hey, I moved on and I'm happy in a safe, committed situation. And for Meagan Good, who has a track record herself for being in the industry streets. So for her to say, hey, I'm finally married, y'all, I'm finally got a man, and for him
she's been married before. She got divorced.
Yeah, but she was also bouncing around.
Well, yeah, I don't disagree with that. I was just saying she's been married. Yeah, she's been married.
So this is a good look for her and all of that stuff. So all in all, I feel as though this isn't really real anyway. So that's the real reason why I said shoot your shot, pal. Because hey, man, why the hell not? But what are your thoughts, man, on homeboy? Instead of trying to get that picture, he was trying to get that number right in front of Jonathan Majors of all places. What are your thoughts, bro?
I think the this, first of all, this was funny. Second of all, I find it hard to believe that the guy who asked for her number didn't know they were like. I find that hard to believe. Like, if you are enough of a fan of her to want to take a picture with her, and I'm just using basic logic here. There's no, first of all, I'm not a fan of any celebrity in particular, but if I were, I'm not going to be a fan of a celebrity to the point that I want to take a picture with them, but not have some familiarity with their background. I feel like it comes with the territory. Like, if you're a fan of somebody, you know something about their background. And I feel like if you want to take a picture with Meagan Good, you know who this dude is that she's with. I feel like it's not a stretch to imagine that you would be aware of who this guy is. And for you to ask for her number anyway in front of him, number one, is disrespectful towards him. But number two, listen, I'm not defending Jonathan Majors. I'm not a Jonathan Majors defendant here. Okay. Or rather, I'm not a Jonathan Majors defender. I'm not a Jonathan Majors defender at all. However, what I am a defender of is code, specifically man code. I think men have largely forsaken man code in lieu of being slaves to vagina, and I think it's come at our detriment. And I feel like a lot of times it's the Drake model. It's the Drake example. One of the principal reasons why I despise Drake as a person is because of his admitted penchant for on purpose going after other men's women on purpose. It's one thing to know. It's one thing to like get with another guy's girl, but you didn't know that they were together because maybe it's not your business. So it's like a don't ask, don't tell type situation. You meet some chick, she don't tell you she got a man. You don't ask no questions. She out in the streets. And so y'all get busy. And so now you slid. You ain't know she had a man. You ain't asked no questions. That's not on you. That's on her and her dude to sort of, hash out what's going on between them. You're in it bystander in this whole equation because you had no knowledge. That's one situation. To me, it's another situation entirely to know this chick has a man. Furthermore, you know who her man is, and you still try to slide anyway. That is a steep violation of man code that more and more of us men have chosen to adopt because we just don't care. We don't really want to operate by a code. We'll just slide on anything, even if we're violating what used to be the code of men, which is you just don't knowingly step to another man's woman.
Yeah, coveting their wife.
Yeah, like what are we doing here? There's all of these women out here, right? But it's just so many women out here in these streets, and you can't help yourself but feel compelled to on purpose go after another man's woman. Like that to me is weak beta energy, in my opinion. And a lot of us are out here doing that. And we wonder why women don't respect us and why women are getting the upper hand when it comes to modern sexual dynamics. Like if more of us stood on principle and if more of us stood on business when it comes to stuff like this, we wouldn't be having these ongoing, exhausting conversations about where the respect for men has gone in today's society, if you want to take it on a galaxy brain level.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like this guy knew Jonathan Majors was her man, and he chose to ask her that question anyway because he didn't give a damn. Because a lot of guys out here nowadays don't give a damn. And you can say what you want about Jonathan Majors because he's his own unique person. I get it. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I'm not trying to defend Jonathan Majors. It's more so about defending the notion of man honoring the code. That's kind of how I feel about that. It's just like because if Buddy will do that to let's just say he doesn't respect Jonathan Majors for whatever reason.
Okay.
Let's just say that. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant whether he respects Jonathan Majors or not. If he would do that in that instance, he'd do that to another guy whom he does respect because he just doesn't care enough to honor the code to just not do it, period. So, I mean, that's just kind of my stance on that one. Again, I'm not trying to make this more than what it is. For the most part, I thought that it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think a lot of stuff going on out here between men and women is crazy. We all are dealing with our own relative levels of insanity on both sides of the coin. I've talked about that often. And, a lot of themes that I touch on often on this channel, talking about people holding themselves accountable for the choices that they make. I stand firm on that. But I also stand firm on, well, a lot of us are losing respect in society and are losing our place in society relative to what it used to be, because we will just slavishly devote ourselves to the pursuit of vagina at all costs, even if it means compromising or forsaking what used to be a perfectly reasonable code to live by. I kind of feel like we should get back to that if we want to be able to reacquire some of the respect that we claim to have lost.
Hey, man, that's fair, bro. That's fair. And because when it does come to married people, yeah, I agree with your stance on that. While I was in the streets, man, and I came across that. When I was young, I didn't care. I say that. I won't say I didn't care. I cared, but I only cared as much as the woman cared. So if she really cared about her situation, then I wouldn't have did it. But if she was just in the streets herself.
But if she cared, she would not be in the streets, though. So it's a moot point.
But that's what I'm saying. So she got her situation, but she's still out here. So my whole thing was like, well, if everybody else is getting on board, I'm not going to be the one that's not going to take this for a spin either. So that's where I was at, bro. So, but then it got to a point, then I was like, hey, man, there's too much going on out here to be living like that. So I built that code to go, because after doing that, because I didn't feel right after doing that. So I built that code for myself to go, all right, man, if they have that going on, just leave it alone and, go elsewhere type of deal. So I agree with you. But in my trollish take at the beginning, bro, it's just something. And I hear your point about it doesn't matter if you respect the guy or not, because, at what point, that's a dangerous game to play. At that point, you're just welcoming that in your own life because somebody doesn't respect you for whatever reason. So, you don't want to open those doors. But my thing is that I really feel as though this is a put on ass relationship. I really feel as though Jonathan Majors lives an alternative lifestyle. I feel like he does his thing. And I feel like they're just doing this on some Hollywood stuff. Honestly, they're so Hollywood. I wouldn't be surprised if this was some weird publicity stunt to plug their company. Because last week they was in a cycle for the company that they made, but nobody gave a damn. But this is going to go viral because this is black man, black woman, marriage, dynamics, and, and hey, it made it on a conscious approach. And all of a sudden, the article also has, hey, by the way, they got this fitness thing that they're building. So you never know with these Hollywood people, because they'll call TMZ to say, hey, I'm going to be at the airport. I'm going to be at LAX. My flight leaves at blah, 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 blah. And then TMZ comes pulling up and asking them questions and taking pictures. And here they go, hey, leave me alone. Hey, leave me. They literally do that. So when you're talking about the celebrity world, it's not very much to respect there, especially if they go on to parties and they start swinging and sharing anyway. So Megan, what's up, man? let me get my. So if this is a regular everyday situation, hey man, so be it, man. But to me, I think it was a good trolling job. I got a good laugh out of it. But in all seriousness, when it comes to principles and standing on things, yeah, man, leave a married woman alone. Personally, man, it's just, for me, it builds bad. I don't know, man. I don't want to claim myself to be superstitious or anything like that, but I think that's just setting a bad precedent. There's just so much free stuff out here. Don't go grabbing stuff that somebody else already has. I don't know. It's kind of weird. So overall I do stay away from that premise. But hey man, it's a good laugh. Good little internet laugh here though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you raise a good point. These days, unfortunately, you don't know what's real and what's fake anymore, which further magnifies how fascinating it is the sheer amount of people who buy into celebrity relationships, because you have a lot of people who do really celebrate them getting married. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
yeah, and they're
This is
really
goals for some people.
yeah, for real, exactly. They really are like, hitching their wagon to it as like a source of inspiration. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So people really, it's incredible to me how much people still to this day engage in celebrity hero worship. You know what I'm saying? Like 2025, and people are still out here worshiping these celebrities. It's the weirdest thing ever. So I hear your point on that, but I think that this is emblematic of what guys do nowadays. So even if you strip this away from Jonathan Majors and Meagan Good,
Oh,
dudes
100%.
are just out here doing this. And
100%.
again, it's not that a chick has a man, but she's still out in the streets. We know that's going on. I'm
Right.
not refuting that. What I'm talking about is, she has a man, and you just don't give a damn. And you're just gonna pursue it anyway. And on top of that, a lot of times we be knowing who the dude is.
Hey man, it's a cold game, man.
It is.
Here's my thing. So when you know what I'm saying, when I was out there, bro. If I'm talking to a girl, if I was talking to a girl and I know she has a man, let's say that, it's whatever. But she's always in my ear about what this and this and this and that, then I go, look, you still in the street. You still in the street. You talking about what y'all do in their house, what he ain't doing it. You still in the streets. So I didn't really care about that, because technically she was still in the streets to me. Then there was the women that had men and they were off the grid. I mean, I would see them every day, talk to them, high wave. They're off the grid. They're not taking any newcomers. And so I realized that, okay, this is a woman that has a situation and wants to keep that. Doesn't matter how hard she smiled at me that day or whatever, the next day she's stiff-faced because she realized she smiled too hard yesterday. But then there's the one over here that want to tell me everything that they got going on in their relationship. When they gonna link up over here with the girls and stuff like this, and they telling me all of this stuff, and it's like, you know what? I think I can take this for a spin here. I really don't. She don't respect their relationship, so it's a wild dynamic, bro. But that's what I'm saying. Like when I was doing the street thing, man. Yeah, man, I didn't care. I didn't care like that for those marriages. I had a thing for, but even if they had a man, it was how they acted when they had one.
It's the behavior, yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, whether their marriage is real or not, I don't even want to, whether it's real or not. To me, Meagan Good has not conducted herself in such a way that it would invite one to right in front of this dude be like, "Can I get your number?"
That's fair.
She hasn't done anything like that yet. He did it anyway. So there's a certain level of I don't give a damn. There's a certain level of I don't give a damn that has sort of crept up into how we do a lot of this stuff.
That's
true. I'm speaking specifically to guys, and and it dovetails into larger conversations around, the sanctity of relationships and how much it's worth it, and men doing this. And I'm not trying to get into the weeds with that. I'm really not. But it's just to say it's one of our forms of insanity that we regularly indulge in. And look, like I said before, it's one of the reasons why I don't like Drake. I just don't like him as a guy. I think even if I did like Drake's music, which I don't, but even if I did, I would still find myself feeling some type of way about listening to his music, because I just don't think he's a good guy based on his truth that he puts forth in his music, and the way he on purpose knowingly just doesn't give a damn and just violates code routinely. Now, is that a reflection of the quality of women that he's pursuing? Perhaps, and I wouldn't disagree with that. But still, like, you're making a habit of going out of women who are already claimed. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
so
no, that's fair.
that's the part of it that I just don't like. And I feel like a lot of us are doing it. And I feel like that comes along with a depreciation in terms of our perceived level of respect in the world, in my opinion. So, if you want to get some of that back, maybe accord yourself with a little more respect than that. And that's not to say put on a halo and just be the most super respectful man in the world and all courteous and whatnot, but just understand the line and respect the code. I don't see what's the big deal, especially when there's so many women in the world who are out in the streets and who don't require you to compromise any code whatsoever because they ain't tied to nothing anyway. So there's nothing for you to lose. So,
But and fair point, and I'll say this because fair points. But the point I was making about when I was in the streets and I knew who was taken, but there was two ways that they acted. And then you brought up how Meagan Good didn't give any inkling. On top of that, when the guy asked, she was like, "Hey man, my man's right here. Like, what's up with you?" You know what I'm saying? Like, so she conducted herself the right way. And one thing about it is, when you make your selection, you have to be mindful of who belongs to the game and who's off the grid. And if this woman is off the grid, that means she bought into you, she bought into your system. That is what it is, because you can't stop sharks from smelling blood in the water. But if there's no blood in the water, the sharks ain't gonna come in that direction. So you have to understand who belongs to the game and who doesn't. And
I think in this era of shoot your shot at all costs, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I think a lot of us are starting to go for things even if we don't smell the blood.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's fair. But I mean, it's going to be a swing and a miss.
It should be. Yeah, right.
Well, that's what I'm saying. No, it will be if she's off the grid.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but if she belongs to the game, then who knows? So this is where guys have to be honest with themselves when they are making their selection. How did you get her? Did you get her while you was in the game? Does she still belong to the game? You got to ask yourself these things. And because this whole thing of, hey man, we got to maintain code. These they're savages in the world, bro. Nobody's going to keep any kind of code. There's no more codes out here.
And
the code is lawlessness.
And that's unfortunate. And that's what I'm.
So if the code
that's what I'm espousing is the lack of it.
So if the code is lawlessness, and that's the new game is lawlessness. So if that's the game, if that's the new game, you have to make sure you have a chick that doesn't belong to that game. So good luck, ladies and gentlemen. It is wild out here, and with hypersexualization, bruh, it's only going to get wilder.
Yeah.
So, hey man, good luck.
Hey man, listen. I'm not particularly a fan of Majors. So just listen, man. There's nothing like, fellas, just honor the code, man. There's nothing wrong with honoring the code, bro. If she's for the streets, then she's for the streets, whatever. But just honor the code, man. Like, there's so many women out here. There really are. And they are available. Even there's so many women who claim to not be available, and they're also available in truth. Fish in those waters. Knowingly going after women who have a man, you wouldn't want some dude doing that to you.
That's
like it's just a matter of like do unto others. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I am holding a situation down and I know that I'm solid and there's trust between me and my lady, I don't want other men to feel so inclined to still shoot shots. Even if I know she's gonna rebuke it, I don't want it to go on.
You can't stop that player.
I know I can't stop it, but I can still suggest. I can't, to a certain degree, speaking on it. Like, you can conduct yourself in such a way that you're not doing it. Are you going to be able to stop it 100%? No, of course not. But there's a difference between and just accepting that lawlessness is the status quo, and so let's all just be out here living lawlessly. Leave the lawlessness to the bandits. Don't everybody become a bandit.
Correct. Because the name of the game is, if you care, is to get off the grid. and be off the grid and stay off the grid. And so, yeah, man, I agree with that. The bandits are outside. So whoever's outside, man, let them do outside activities, but you can't ask them.
I feel like there's a lot of well-to-doers who are just electing to become bandits. Like it's one thing if you've been a bandit and you built like a bandit and so you move like a bandit. It's another thing to not be that way, but to just make the decision to flip the switch and become a bandit because you think it's cool and the thing to do and the right way to do things.
And you're a bandit.
Yeah.
Who cares what the origin story is, man? Villains are villains, man.
Yeah. So. Shouts out to all of the guys out there who are not bandits.
Hey, man! Shout out to Jonathan Majors, man. It's a lot of envious dudes out there. I'm not gonna say I'm one of them because Meagan Good is crazy, but still, man. Shout out to Jonathan Majors, man.
Yeah, he needs to, take it easy on the protein shakes.
Yeah, man. Come on, man. Google him. What the? Come on.
And next up, we're going to discuss Cheyenne Bryant, who has officially crossed over into Friends of the Champ territory.
Absolutely.
Cheyenne Bryant, the self-proclaimed relationship expert,
self-proclaimed doctor,
like to give everybody relationship advice and talk to everybody about how to do the right thing and get on the right path and how to be faithful partners. And she likes to dig into people's psychoses, and she's done this with Cam Newton. Who else has she done this with? Where she's psychoanalyzing people to get to the root of why they're such bad men. That's her shtick. Let's find out why you're such a messed up broken man that you do the things that you do. So Cheyenne Bryant was After Dark or whatever he calls it, where they talk about relationship stuff and sex stuff. And Cheyenne Bryant was a guest on Paul Pierce's podcast, and Paul Pierce started grilling Cheyenne Bryant on why she's still single.
Damn.
And Cheyenne Bryant essentially copped to being in what amounts to a situationship for an extended period of time.
Damn.
And she explained why she is still in that status. And Paul Pierce was calling her out on it, saying that, well, basically you are just in it because you enjoy the vitamin D. So it says former NBA star Paul Pierce grills life coach Dr. Cheyenne Bryant about her love life. You just like the sex.
Damn.
Cheyenne Bryant about her love life during a recent chat on his Truth After Dark. That is a clever title, by the way, because his nickname being The Truth. During a recent chat on his The Truth After Dark show, Paul asked the therapist about her current situation. She explained that she is dating, though she has spun the block with one particular acquaintance. All sex, but Dr. Cheyenne maintained that deeper issues are keeping them apart. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and play this exchange between the two of them, and you be the judge.
Yeah, please.
Situation right now.
What you mean situation? Happy?
You got a man?
I'm dating. I'm single, but I'm dating.
Single but dating. I'm serious more than other.
No, just dating.
We gotta change because she's therapying us.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I want my woman to mommy me.
Like, hold on, what's going on with you? This is about you. You flip the script on us. We over here.
Verse uno.
Man, you sure did.
But it was good. It was insightful.
No, we need to find out about what's going on with her. She dating, single. What do that entail for a 42-year-old?
I'm dating.
Dating, but single.
Enjoying my life. I have really good companions.
How many are you dating right now?
I'm not exclusively committed to anyone, but I have one guy that I have dated off and on.
And it continues.
just like the sex?
No.
That's like for real. You can't keep nobody at a distance for 5 years.
Oh.
I ain't never done no shit like
I
that.
am not vitamin D deficient.
No,
so
no,
everything is good in that department.
No. He
wants a
She
relationship.
kept him on the side until she figured out if it's something better. I see where this is going.
He just has some emotional maturity that we both had to work through things, but he's had to work on his emotions and his intense insecurities around being in a relationship.
And you've been waiting on it. Like what's the problem? Why y'all not together?
Just because of that,
And I think that's the last clip. Yeah. So this is going viral with Paul. You know, the fact that Paul Pierce. You know, I'll let you go ahead and take off. She sounds an awful lot like the women that she is claiming to be coaching in terms of, you know, things to look out for and red flags and whatnot. You know, but you know, I'll let you go ahead and take off, man. What did you think about that?
Paul Pierce, also a friend of the channel, which is an obscure pull, but he is definitely a friend of the channel. But shouts out to him, man, for calling her out. You know, Paul Pierce stood on business right there. He didn't get the way he was talking to her throughout that entire exchange there is that, and he kept saying throughout the little interview there, he said, "Hey man, I'm from Long Beach, man. I know how this goes." Or yeah, I think he was saying she's from Long Beach. She's from wherever he's from. Time you want, so don't try to play with me with these words here. And he was cutting straight to the chase. All these other dudes that I seen talking to this lady, they would seem to either get lost in the moment, either wanted to hit later, or they had this dynamic where she was really Dr. Cheyenne Bryant to them. But Paul Pierce, like, listen, I know 304s when I see them, okay? And 304s tend to wear chains with their name on it. So you coming around here saying, "Oh yeah," you know what I'm saying? All of it, because I think before I've seen other videos circulate online where she's given these facts in various arenas of she's 40 plus years old with no kids and no man. And I heard somewhere else that she was dealing with this situationship for an extended period of years. So I've heard these in various areas, but Paul Pierce got, okay, so you're dating, you know, these people, like how many? She didn't want to name how many, you know. But then she wants to highlight this one dude that she's been dragging along for 5 years. So, yes, you're right, bro. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is behaving like the men she's counseling women to be aware of, bringing this guy along. Then wants to flip it and say he's emotionally X, Y, and Z, like he's not mature enough to handle this. No, it seems like you're the one that's not mature enough to handle a situation, especially if you've been dealing with somebody for 5 years and you want to call it dating, air quote. You spun the block. How old are we here? But of course, okay, we're dealing with a doctor here, all right, who is highly educated and knows every little micro thing about a man that she wants to psychoanalyze and pinpoint it and call them derogatory words. But Dr. Shan called yourself some of these ugly words. I don't think she has. So she has the tall tale signs of a grifter. All right. She's Brittany Renner with the doctor thing in front of her name. She's running around here as a 304, but proposing as a professional, so she can get consultations and all this other stuff from all of these women that watch her little stuff online, so she can get her little checks. And some dudes fell for the bait because they end up hiring her for some of her whatever stuff. So she makes money. All right. So one of these days, all right. So Brittany Renner, she threw away her hijab. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if Dr. Cheyenne Bryant actually throws away that doctor thing. All right? Because right now, Paul Pierce exposed her for the 304. She really is Cheyenne Bryant getting called out. And her saying she's spinning a block, been with a dude for 5 years and ain't married. What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I have a firm belief that whenever you are consuming any kind of message, it's important to vet the messenger for authenticity. I think that that's very important for men who are single and want to be able to better navigate the dating world. Don't listen to men who want to give advice but are constantly, dealing with controversy and are enthralled in all sorts of toxic situations as a result of their poor decisions. If you're a guy and you're trying to figure out women or relationships and you want to be more successful with dating, don't listen to the insight of an individual such as Shannon Sharp, for example, who pays to play, who deals with sex workers who are nearly three times his junior in age, and who has dealt on more than one occasion with allegations of some sort of improper conduct. I kind of feel like that person talking about things that you should do as a man to be better with women and how to handle your marriage and relationship, maybe you should listen to somebody else. I think it's important to vet the messenger at all times. I've said that oftentimes before, and that's if you are someone who does run to the internet looking for important life advice, which I advise against doing. But if you are going to do it, at least do it from a qualified source. I don't think women should be listening to the insight. Let me back up. In my opinion, I don't believe women who want to be in relationships and marriages should be listening to the insight of a woman who's not doing that. That doesn't make sense to me. If you do aspire to be in such a situation, you probably should heed the insight of a woman who herself is happily married. Why are you listening to the insight of a 42-year-old who is single and dating men 9 years younger than her for 5 years? That reeks of dysfunction to me. I've had my fair share of prolonged situationships. I'll admit that. I have no shame in it. It's what got me to this point that I am today. I've had my fair share of women who I, dated on I won't even use the word date, who I were involved with on there was a reason why those situations never materialized into anything concrete. It's because I didn't want them to be. I was doing what I was doing on purpose because I didn't want it to progress any further. And those types of actions and behaviors are endemic and functional. She's doing the same exact thing. If you're in your 40s and you're like, first of all, the age gap is whatever. I try not to be somebody who judges based upon age or whatever. I try to not do that. But even if you strip age away from the equation, you're dating, quote unquote, somebody for 5+ years, yet you're not in a relationship with them because he's dealing with emotional and maturity issues. Why are you still with this guy? Why have you not moved on from him after 5 years if you're so smart and on top of what you're doing? That is a clear, if this has gone on for years plus, it's a clear indication that it's not going to work out in your favor. So perhaps you should move on and invest your time and energy into someone else who is perhaps of the right level of emotional maturity that you need. But the fact that she has not done that and she is still in this situation tells me she wants to be there. And she wants to be what she wants to do. Yet you then turn around and want to proclaim to be this relationship expert, this person who espouses the right type of advice for people who want to get to the deep root of their various psychoses to learn why they do what they do so that they can find themselves in happy relationships. How can you lead in that manner when you cannot lead by example? It doesn't make sense. And she's not the only example of this.
No way.
There are countless examples of other grifters all throughout the internet and even in traditional media, giving all sorts of BS advice and getting people to drink their BS Kool-Aid when they don't even live by the stuff that they're talking about. Advice from Shannon Sharp or Shaquille O'Neal. You pay for women. You're not going to be in anything stable because you pay for women. You're trying to, you're engaging in situationships with sex workers or sex worker adjacent women.
Adjacent, heavy on adjacent.
Why should I be listening to you? Yet, tell them that they think that they're the biggest experts in the world. So, this is more so of a referendum on us as people. Vet your message to people who don't deserve it. Whatever she has done to earn that doctor cred, I'm not exactly sure. But you saw it right there in the video clip that we just played.
Exactly.
If you are someone who is seeking some sort of relationship insight, why would you listen to somebody who does not live by what it is that you want? You want a guy who's emotionally mature, if you want a guy who's ready for monogamy, if you want a guy who's ready to be a committed father, if you want a guy who's supposed to be a leader and provider, why listen to the advice of a woman who herself does not know how to identify such a man for herself? So, vet your messengers, people. Vet your messengers. We here on the Conscious Approach channel, we don't claim to know it all. We're just trying to give our takes on stuff. So don't take my word for it. Look this chick up for anybody who actually wants to believe that she is in any sort of relationship.
Hey, man, well said, bro. And, for the fellas out there that has been drinking her Kool-Aid, all right? Now, for the ladies that buy this, I completely 100% understand. You may not be buying it after this Paul Pierce situation, hopefully not. But even if you still go down that rabbit hole with her, I understand how grifters work. Grifters are successful because of what they say to their tribes. And so a great example is Dr. Umar Johnson, another doctor where it's like, what kind of doctor are we talking about here? All right. And Dr. Umar is very effective in the sense that he still has his people out there, his supporters, people that you would think after, pushing, a decade and a half of him not producing anything, you would think some people will question the money that they're sending them, but no, people that's been there for at least a decade. There's been all kinds of scandal. All right, him saying this, him saying that. We covered when his estranged daughter was getting at him, saying that he don't even do anything. Okay, but you would think that the Prince of Pan-Africanism, oh my God, going on. You would think that from somebody like that, but of course not. All right, Dr. Umar doesn't even have a house. All right, every time you see him, he's in a hotel room. He's in a public location at a park or a cafe. All right. Or he's posted up at the school that hasn't been functional yet. Feed into that. So Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, as much as I dunk on her, as much as the internet is dunking on her right now, she's still going to have her legion of supporters who think that we're just mad at her because we hate to see a strong, successful Black woman. That's what's going on here. I'm intimidated by her.
Yeah.
Because she's not being a pick me. So that's the rhetoric that I'm going to get from me having this stance. But as I mentioned, in that Cam Newton interview that she had, the scathing words that she was using, the spell she casted on him by saying that you're creating broken homes. This man walked out. He was standing on business before he met this charlatan. But just as a wave of a hand and her little crystal ball, bippity boppity boobed him. And now he's running around here saying that I'm cursed.
She's a Wiccan.
Yeah, she definitely is. So Paul Pierce raised the mirror on this vampire. And I spun the block. Five. How I feel now? You are out here cryogenically freezing your eggs because you're geriatric. And so now you want to sit out here and tell me you want to build a family now? Girl, get out of here. You're loving this internet run too much. She loves the attention. She's got celebrities like Offset sliding in her DMs. You think she's not enjoying this?
Of course she is.
Why would she cut that off for some 9-year younger man? So, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, please, I've seen your type before. They come in all shapes and sizes. All right. So just because you're the housewife brand doesn't make you any better. All right. Y'all both belong on the bottom shelf. The type of liquor that you drink and regret it the next day. Not top shelf at all.
Yeah.
So I say this, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, you got exposed by Dr. Paul Pierce. I love it. Shout out to Paul Pierce, man.
Yeah, she is a vampire, bro. And what's unfortunate is people like Cam Newton are inviting them inside the house.
He invited her in.
Yeah, you can't invite a vampire in, but you can't come in unless you invite them in. But once you invite them in, they're gonna wreak
Paul
havoc.
Pierce kept her outside the door.
Yeah.
You doing all that
did.
scratching and clawing. He was like, what about you?
Yeah, he did. Hey man, listen, y'all vet your messengers, people.
Lord have mercy.
You cannot listen to the advice of an individual who does not live by the thing that they give advice on. That is ass backwards. And a chick who is, especially her age, in the streets, probably contributing to the same kind of dysfunctionality that she preaches against, is somebody that you should not be listening to.
Well said, Dr. JV Wins. Well said, bro. I should have put my name Dr. Dogon for this one.
Talking about we ain't in a relationship because he doesn't have emotional maturity. What are you doing?
Exactly.
You're so damn smart.
I think she's the emotionally immature one. That's all she is. That's all she do is just flip it on you. Yeah. Oh, so you're the emotionally immature one for not dropping them 4 years ago. How you like that, Dr. Cheyenne? She's hilarious.
She is,
man. Hey, man, shout out to her, man, because she gives me good laughs.
Such a joke. And now we have a part 2 of what appears to be an ongoing saga now between Robert Griffin III and Ryan Clark. So, to give you some background, Robert Griffin III on his podcast said he thinks Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. And, Ryan Clark went back saying, hey, Robert Griffin III, you really have no ground to stand on talking like that because you don't have a black wife or black daughters, and you don't know what it's like to be a black woman, essentially is what he was saying. So you can't have that kind of opinion because you don't know what it's like to have a black wife or raise a black daughter who's in this world living as a black woman. Blah, 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 blah. So now, So apparently there's some meme. Angel Reese has been selected as, I believe, the sole WNBA player on the WNBA edition of NBA 2K26. She's on the cover, so shouts out to her for that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But there's a meme going around on the internet that's showing a monkey on the cover of NBA 2K26. So obviously that's not the greatest look in the world. And Robert Griffin III, unmuted to talk about how it's wrong that this is happening, but he did it in sort of a way that draws attention to himself. And he even said that someone from Angel Reese's family contacted him to confirm all of the things that he says about Angel Reese hating Caitlin Clark. And then Angel Reese's mom unmuted to say, "Ain't nobody contact you, stop lying." And then here comes Ryan Clark. So, so first we'll read this article, which pretty much summarizes Robert Griffin III. This says former Commanders quarterback Robert Griffin III draws backlash over viral post. Former Washington Commanders quarterback Robert Griffin III has never been one to bite his tongue and somehow always find himself in controversy. So his jumping into the Angel Reese conversation is no surprise. Before Reese even entered the WNBA, there's been a narrative floating around that she doesn't like fellow WNBA player Caitlin Clark. Now it's taken another turn, this time involving not just Reese and former Washington quarterback, but Reese's mother. Recently, RG3 weighed in on social media after a disturbing post 26 as a monkey. So I'm not going to read the quote because I'll just read his post. But then you'll see Angel Reese's mother responded to Robert Griffin III's tweet by saying, "Man, stop with the cap." How old is her mom that she's even saying that?
Oh, man, come on, man. It's the new age,
Yeah,
dog.
look, I digress. Man, stop with the cap. My daughter's circle is so small and tight, so I'd be interested to know who called you. Whomever you say called you is not in her circle to speak on her feelings towards the media. Fan made up beef. Just stay on that side because the doors are closed over here. So that's Angel Reese's mother. But RG3 didn't stop there. He used this moment to double down on his claim that Reese hates Clark, something he says was to RG3's tweet. This is like a multi-layered deal we got going on here. So here's Robert Griffin III's tweet. So first of all, here is the thing that he is. Here's the thing that he is that he is posting against. So, Angel Reese is on one of the covers of NBA 2K26, the WNBA edition, and this is going around the internet where somebody did this. Somebody photoshopped in a monkey in place of Angel Reese as the cover, which obviously has racial undertones. And so here's Robert Griffin III's tweet. "All right, this has to stop. There is no place for racism in this world. Whether you like a player or not, Angel Reese should never be called or depicted as a monkey. I have been quiet on the Angel Reese front because she shared a video that aided in my wife, kids, family, and friends receiving death threats of physical harm to my family and friends, and threats of sexual violence to my children on social media and beyond. That will never be okay with me. I never attacked her or her family when I stated and backed up with clear basketball evidence that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. It's sports. Everybody won't like each other. People in Angel's inner circle called me and told me I was right, and Angel Reese has grown to hate Caitlin Clark because of the media always asking her about Caitlin and being constantly compared to her. Some people made it about race, but I never did and never will. Instead of becoming the villain in anyone's story, I decided to just not. All that being said, Angel Reese or any black man or woman should never be called or depicted as a monkey ever. Stop it. If you hate Angel Reese because she is black, you are the problem. If you hate Angel Reese because you are a Caitlin Clark fan, don't turn it racial. There should be no place for racism in this world. By the way, RG3 is getting dunked on in the comments for this. Like, it is almost unanimous. He is getting dunked on in the comments. I'm not gonna go down the comments section, but check that out for yourself. He's getting dunked on mercilessly. So is there anything else to read here? The so-called attention showing just how invested the public and even athletes outside of basketball have become in pushing this narrative. Ultimately, it's a conversation that consistently highlights the intersection of race, gender, and social media, and the way it's all playing out. It doesn't seem like the conversation is slowing down anytime soon. So, Ryan Clark, someone who I think hates Robert Griffin III, unmuted to give his take on this situation and to further go at RG3 for how he feels about the fact that Robert Griffin III did this. So let me post what Ryan Clark said here. All right, so here's Ryan Clark's third after Robert Griffin III unmuted to do what he did on Twitter.
Damn.
RG3 seems to have this strange fascination with Angel Reese, or connection to the spotlight and attention that it brings, or who it brings those things from. I know now I don't get to speak on someone else's Black experience or call something self-hate when I don't know how you truly connect to the community or the culture, or I can't assume that you see yourself in the thing that you push back against. But this one should have been easy. Angel Reese, this young, beautiful, talented, hardworking, successful Black woman who is on an absolute tear in the WNBA, who has an opportunity now to unveil her own shoe, is depicted as a monkey in this graphic. A graphic I only saw on his page. So now his millions of followers can see this, and it should be easy to defend her against such deplorable hate and racism and bigotry and evil. But he couldn't do that. He had to make himself both the victim and the hero of this story. He had to mention that Angel Reese did something to him instead of acknowledging what he initially did to her. He had to be the champion again for Caitlin Clark, I guess, against the young, angry Black woman by on her and her inner sister. So now Angel Reese, who should be in a celebration and trying to ignore the noise of all the evil and attacks that she feels every single day, has to come out along with her mother to shut down these lies and accusations from RG3. This should have been a situation where he comes out as human and says, we have to stop this. Because by his own admission, he says, if you don't support people that don't look like you, then you're a part of the problem. Let me be clear. If you never support people that look like you, you are also the problem. God made us with the responsibility for inclusion and compassion and empathy and love for all people. We also have that same responsibility for our people. I know people were mad that I apologized for my initial statements, but I wanted to make sure people had clarity about what I was saying. But while we're on apologies, we all owe Rob Parker an apology. Because though he was early,
Big
Rob
Rob.
about RG3.
I'm sorry, y'all. This whole thing is just, this is top tier comedy to me, bro.
So what do you where are you at with that? You think Ryan Clark was justified in the criticism, and you think RG3 was justified in doing what he did? Where do you fall on this mess of a situation?
I think what this whole situation has revealed to me is that RG3, indeed, he's a peculiar fellow. and he marches to the beat of his own drum, and he really thinks highly of himself. And I think that part of him marching to the beat of his own drum is him living in what you like to call an echo chamber. He lives in a specific type of echo chamber where his tone deafness with that post is a-okay in that silo that he lives in. And the internet, as you mentioned, the entire comment section, the internet had a problem with this. I haven't seen anybody come to the defense for RG3 on this take. All right. And yeah, I agree with Ryan Clark that yeah, man, the internet owes Rob Parker an apology.
Rob Parker essentially was fired from ESPN because of what he said about Robert Griffin III.
Yeah, man. I mean, ESPN need to apologize. Rob Parker was like Negro Damas. He was like Negro Damas. And he basically was like, cornball Negroes like RG3 because he makes, Jim Jones look like Nas. And so Rob Parker was a prophet ahead of his time. And so we need to give Rob Parker. I was like, hey man, I thought Rob Parker had his own identity issues. All right. But I saw some clips of him recently after all of this came out, and he was basically just standing on business like, hey, look, bro, like I tried to tell y'all. Something's off about that man. All right. RG3, he really gives me the impression of somebody that's just always, look at his image. He's just skinning and grinning, just happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? Fetishizing over milk. So there's people out there that like to, experience different cultures. Do your thing. But then there's some people that I told you that I have a problem with, that when they're doing their whole tasting the rainbow thing, that they have this, they're fetishizing over various situations.
Yeah.
And RG3 comes off as a person who fetishizes his wife. And he gets this weird kink out of being, with her like that. So yeah, man, I think I made the joke before, but I really think RG3, he's the type of dude, so when, the whole love is love thing, I'm with that. But RG3 comes off as the type to do, green mile.
He thinks yeah. His preference is and he feels like his preference is a superior preference.
Yeah, well, yeah, and he doing role play, and it's like Green Mile, and he's like, I was afraid of the dark, and then she comes out and says, "Wow, boy," stuff like that. He got called the N-word before because he wanted to. He's that kind of guy. Now, I don't have any proof of this, but that's the kind of guy he comes off. That's what Rob Parker was calling out, and that's what Ryan Clark was calling out. So, and the thing with Ryan Clark, last thing I'll say is that, of course, man, he tries to highbrow it, use all of these words and rigmarole, which makes it even more funny because we all know what you're saying, bro. But he wants to do all of this dancing, and that's fine.
Because he don't want to have to apologize again. That's why.
Hey, man. But I love it. To me, this is great humor. This is like a Boondocks episode come to life. All right. So whenever these little characters get to doing their little thing, I get great chuckles out of it, man. But what are your thoughts, man, on RG3 making this controversial post? And then the likes of Ryan Clark coming to basically double down on his initial statements there, saying that, this is something a little off about RG3. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, it's looking that way. The last time we talked about this, I largely came to Robert Griffin III's defense because I felt like it was unreasonable for Ryan Clark to criticize his opinions on the grounds that he wasn't married to a black woman or wasn't raising black daughters, simply for having the basketball take that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark, because I feel the same kind of way. Now, I don't think Angel Reese personally hates Caitlin Clark.
Mm-hmm.
I think within a basketball competition standpoint, she doesn't like her.
That's fair.
And I think that is evidence through the behavior that Angel Reese has exhibited going back to when they were in college. I think from a competitive, strictly basketball standpoint, she don't like her. I do think that. And so I don't think it's unreasonable for somebody to have that take. And I think it's unreasonable for you to say a person who's not married to a black woman can have that take.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really a fan of Ryan Clark going that far, albeit I understood it's where's the beef when you start talking like that. Because that's a great way to get folks riled up, is to talk about identity and racial stuff and what it takes to be a black woman and support black women. These are all hot button issues that are very easy to rally behind.
Yeah.
So I understood the media tactic, but I just didn't agree with it, because from that standpoint, let's disqualify every black man who's not married to a black woman in sports media who might from time to time have similar takes. Like, I just think we're like, to what extent are we going to take that line of thinking? So I just wasn't a fan of that. And so from that standpoint, I kind of came to Robert Griffin III's defense. However, that's kind of where it ends. I once had a guy who I hooped with at Florida State. I'm not going to mention his name. This guy was he was a bit of a character. He had a little man. I think he had a bit of a complex about him because of his, I think he had a bit of a complex about him because of his height.
Okay.
He was about 4 foot. He was about 4'9", 4'8". So he was a short guy. He was not 5 feet tall. He was a short guy. And so, the way he played basketball with this extra level of attitude.
Yeah, for sure.
He insisted on, he was a shorter guy. He couldn't really impact the game in ways other than being the point guard. So whenever he played, he was that guy who insisted on always bringing the ball up the court. As if we have designated positions in street ball and you're the designated point guard. So he's the designated I'll bring the ball up the court guy, and he will get mad at you if you bring the ball up the court because he feels like that's his job. He walked into the gym like, I'm the point guard on the team, so I'm the guy who brings the ball up the court. Just, he marched to the beat of his own drum for sure. And he was a guy, and he was a black guy, but he dated, he liked to date women who weren't black. Okay. Now, he would. Now, that's not to say he didn't get with black women, because he did. I'm not going to lie on his name like that. He was with black women too. Okay. But there was an extra level of pride that he took in being with women who weren't black, to the point that he would play it up and talk about it as if it was like a badge of honor. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would fetishize them the way we feel like some white women who, want to experience being with a black man but would never really marry one. Right. Fetishize being with a black man. It's kind of two sides of the same coin. He would do the same type of thing where he would get on his milk talk, and he would just infuse these weird comments into the conversation about having sex with white women. And I always felt that was weird energy, because it's like, look, bro, like, why are you proudly boasting that as if people care? Like, it is what it is. But he would bring it up at points when it wasn't really part of the conversation. And that guy was just a lot of people felt like that guy was a bit off. Everybody collectively in the gym understood, we'll coexist with you in the gym. We'll play with you. We'll play on your team if we don't have any other choice. And we'll hoop with you. We'll play basketball with you. Nobody's hitting this guy up to hang out.
Right.
Nobody's hitting this guy up to play video games. Nobody's hitting this guy up to go on a mall run. Nobody's hitting this guy up to just chill and hang out. because it's like this guy gives off weird energy.
Right.
And so it kind of looks like RG3 is one of those guys who gives off this weird energy. Pains me to say because I came to the guy's defense the last time that we talked about this.
Yeah, man.
But it is what it is, bro. It's like, why do you feel the need to make something about yourself when it's not?
Right.
And like, you know, and that's just something that not weird people, but that's just something that people with weird energy do.
Mhm.
Like when I didn't go through the whole comments because it was just too long. Everybody's dunking on him for that post.
Mhm.
But one of the main things that I saw was, why are you making it about yourself? All
Right.
you had to do was denounce the monkey pig.
Correct.
Why did you have to go into the fact that Angel Reese said something that was like
Right.
death threats on your family and all?
Right.
Like, why are you making it about you?
Right.
It had nothing to do with you.
It's
All you have to-
weird.
Yeah, like all you have to do, if you're truly, all you have to do is just renounce the pig
Correct.
and move on. Talk about how racism has no place in this world. But you made it about your victimhood because she allegedly said something that puts you in a vulnerable position with your family.
Right.
No one was asking you about that, bro. So you use that as an opportunity to make it about yourself.
Yes.
And that's one of these things that people with weird energy do. So, you know, it is what it is, man. I guess at this point, the proof is in the pudding. I've met people like this personally, you know, like that guy I used to hoop with. It was like, no one hangs out with this guy.
Mhm.
No one really connects with this guy because of his weird energy. And then, you know, I had another friend who would routinely make everything about him. You know what I'm saying? We will have a conversation and I'm talking about something that I got into the other night. Instantly, he flips it to be about him so that we can talk more about him. And he can ask me what to do with situations involving him. You know, everything was about him all the time. His victim, you know, he's getting, you know, somebody's disrespecting him or doing him wrong. You walked into my house as I invited you so that we can record this video, and we talking about the video. How all of a sudden are we now talking about your trials and tribulations, unwarranted, like unsolicited? Almost like he flipped the switch. Let me make this conversation about myself because he just can't get enough of involving other people in talking about himself and his life and his situation.
Mhm.
And it's one thing to do that when you're willing to reciprocate it.
Mhm.
But if you're never willing to offer up that same energy to someone else who might be in need because you always are preoccupied with wanting it to be about you,
Right.
no one wants to give you the energy back.
Exactly.
So I don't know what this guy RG3 has going on, but I can't defend this, you know, as much as I might try. I still think Ryan Clark is you know, appealing to low-hanging fruit by leaning into all of this black woman stuff.
Yeah, man.
You know, I still think he's doing that. And I still don't think it's fair for him to suggest that certain takes are off limits because of who you're married to. I just think that, to me, that just rubs me the wrong way. But I guess he found the right one to pinpoint, because when it comes to Robert Griffin III, it's like he's digging a deep hole for himself.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Clark, I feel like, because when we covered the first one, Ryan Clark, I feel as though, I don't think it was a reach. I think his whole analogy was a bit of a reach, but him having a problem about what RG3 had to say, I don't have a problem with that, because there's a lot of people that didn't like the first one. But you know, the way Ryan Clark got to where he was saying, I was like, damn, bro, this seems deeply rooted. This seems like more than Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese at this point, you know. And of course, their beef goes back from back when they worked with each other. So, much like that one, he did the same thing here, where it's like he's going all the way around the world to basically circle the wagons to paint this image of RG3 and casting spells on the man. Because there's some people that were either neutral on the fence or didn't even give a damn. But this saga, how it's been playing out, has put RG3 in this. A lot of it is his own doing, but it's a narrative now going on about him that he is weirdo, and Ryan Clark is loving this because this is vindicating how he's always felt. And so, like I said, he's just circling the wagons and he's just really driving that point home. Will not be surprised if another faux pas from RG3 comes out and here comes Ryan Clark again. He's gonna have something to say pretty much every time. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, RG3 definitely has a situation where I personally believe he has an alternative worldview. I think however he was raised, whatever his circumstances were coming up, it had a very strong impact on his life, and therefore, I do believe he has a bit of a fetish going on with other people's culture, and and I think that's unfortunate. So yeah, I do think he has a little situation here, and this opportunity here, where he only thing he had to do was, bash the person who generated this image. But those people, like you mentioned, bro, who just can't help themselves, they're going to find a way to muck it up. And RG3 has a platform where he's speaking and giving his opinions and his take and basically his worldview. So I will not be surprised when he has another faux pas, whether it's next week, next month, next year, where again he can't read the room because of his personal worldviews, and he's going to offend the internet yet again. So if this situation doesn't make him look in the mirror and go, hey, what is everybody telling me? I personally don't think what I'm saying is wrong. My family did get attacked. Blah, 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 blah. Like, you got to get out of that silo. So, but I've never known, not one, cornball to change their ways, man. Those people that be on some weird time, I've never seen them get right. So, hey, man, best of luck to you, RG3, man. But right now, you have a negative. So, bro, it was black people, it was white people. Like, he was just getting it on all over TikTok. People just handing it to him. Like, bro, what are you doing? So, hey, man, your social credit score right now is very low, RG3. So, try to get on a rebound, man, because if you're trying to get in the content creation game, you need the people on your side. And right now, it's a lot of people just tuning in just to see you mess up. So, wild stuff, brother.
Yeah, his Q rating is pretty low. I know one person who is basking in all of this.
Who's that?
Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
Before Robert Griffin III, Russell Wilson was the guy who had to deal with all of these cornball accusations. And Russell Wilson has now come out clearly on top when it comes to that.
Hey, Russell Wilson has transcended, bro.
Yeah, I don't think Russell Wilson is catching any more of those strays. Robert Griffin III has firmly supplanted him in the cornball, conversation. So,
man, bro, that's crazy, bro.
Look, yeah, it is what it is, man. Hopefully he can get it figured out, but I'm pretty sure he does have a tribe of people who appreciate his messaging. And in all likelihood, it's probably people who share in his worldview. So likely he is speaking to them whenever he's doing his thing. But it's definitely coming at the expense of the wider audience who just kind of feels his weird energy.
Agreed.
So, and you're right. Typically, people who give off that weird energy are only relatable to other people who give off similar weird energy.
Hey, sorry, RG3 fans, but y'all need to come to the light, man. Crazy. Hey, man, I used to be a fan, bro. So this is not coming from someplace.
Listen, I was literally weeks. Whenever we did that last topic, I was mostly on his side.
Yeah,
because I just don't. I think you are entitled to reasonable sports opinions.
Right.
I felt like his opinion was was a sports opinion that kind of went left because, and I'm getting real tired. And look, it's nothing against Angel Reese. I got nothing against Angel Reese. I am just very exhausted with every time this girl does something, we have to have these overarching conversations about race and sports and gender. Sometimes it's just a sports opinion. Like, why does it, like, it's just annoying. It's getting annoying at this point. It really is getting aggravating.
Hey, man.
So I felt like it was a reasonable sports opinion to have, and then Ryan Clark took it to where he took it as only he can, and this is where we are. And so it's just, I'm ready for this to be over. I'm just done. I'm over it. It's just stupid.
Hey, I'm with you, bro. It's exhausting. But hey, it's what those two are known for. So we weren't there for Magic and Bird. We weren't there for those conversations, but I'm sure this is the same thing. It's just the 2025 version.
Yeah, it's just louder and more aggravating because it's on every thing. Like back then, at least all you had to do, but back then, at least all you could do was watch television or read a newspaper. Mm-hmm. Now it's like all of these damn apps and all of these shows and podcasts is all over the damn place.
Yeah, facts, bro. Facts. Hey, shout out to Angel Reese though for rebounding on her season. No pun intended, man.
Yeah, very good. Very good.
Yeah, man. Come on now.
And lastly, we are going to discuss some controversy involving Teddy Bridgewater, Miami's own Teddy Bridgewater. Shout out to the West.
Yeah.
So Teddy Bridgewater retired from the NFL after the 2023 season and went to go coach at his high school alma mater, which was the Northwestern, the Bulls. In Miami, everybody calls them the West. And let me pull this up. And after he coached them to a state championship, he went back to the NFL to be the backup on the Detroit Lions for Jared Goff during the 2024 season. And apparently there was allegedly, there was some shenanigans going on with improper benefits to the team or the program or whatnot. And so now apparently Teddy Bridgewater has been like suspended from coaching in Florida or something like that because of like improper gifts or some form of impropriety. And so he's tried to clear the air saying, I can't be suspended or investigated or disciplined because I'm not actually an employee of any program. I support Northwestern, but I am not employed by Northwestern. Teddy Bridgewater currently is still associated with the program, but he's not employed. He's not a coach. He's just a contributor to the school. He's just like a donor, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. And he's currently, I think, officially an unretired free agent, I believe, currently in terms of his professional career. So, this pulling up this here. This says ex-Lions quarterback Teddy Bridgewater responds to high school coaching suspension in Florida. Former Detroit Lions quarterback Teddy Bridgewater is planning to stay in Miami to support his alma mater despite his apparent suspension from any official coaching at the school. Got a phone call tonight and there's no real investigation going on. I told you I have to be an employee to be investigated. Bridgewater became the head coach of Miami Northwestern High School after announcing his retirement from the NFL following the 2023 season. He led the Bulls to the Class 3A state championship in his first year at the helm. However, he returned to the Lions late in the 2024 season to back up Jared Goff for the team's playoff push. He appeared in the Lions' playoff loss to the Commanders for 3 plays after Goff took a hard hit. The suspension came from Miami Northwestern, and it's impossible to suspend someone who doesn't work for you, but he means who you don't work for. The suspension stems from impermissible benefits given to players, which Bridgewater himself posted on Facebook about and says he self-reported to the school. Each week I spent around $700 on Uber fares, he said, as only part of the long list of expenses he says it cost him to support the team's activities. The post asked supporters of the program to help donate. Bridgewater said despite the suspension situation, he won't be seeking a coaching job elsewhere and will support the team as a volunteer if necessary. So I'm actually going to pull up Bridgewater's Facebook post
Mhm.
because I do think it's worth providing that context. So let me pull this up. Let's see, Bridgewater. So here's Bridgewater's Facebook post in which he outlines everything that he pays for and asks for outside support to the school. Good morning to all my Bulls and Bull supporters. Today I'm coming to you on behalf of the football team and seeking donations to assist our boys this season and to help me carry the load so I no longer have to take from my personal funds to keep smiles on these young men's face and remind them that they matter. From daily Uber rides to feeding the boys MLK. I don't know what that, you know what that means?
Keep going. I'll probably
Okay.
figure it out.
In parentheses, he put $1,500 a week every morning following our morning training sessions to feeding the boys catered pasta during the season to pride sets to training camp. I cover all the expenses. So today I'm putting together my fundraising packages for individuals looking to donate to the program. You'll be able to donate to my foundation personally, and funds will be used throughout the season as we get ready to crank up. The most recent event we have coming up is our training camp where we sleep in the school's basketball gym. Last year, it cost me $14,000 to conduct the camp for 4 nights, 3 hot meals a day from local Black-owned restaurants, and a snack on some of those days. Last year, it cost me $9,500 to purchase pride sets for the players so they can look like a team. Also, last year, it cost me $300 a week to keep the field painted with lines and numbers so our players can know how to line up and execute. Last year, it also cost me $1,300 a week to have recovery trucks come service the players the day before games. During the season, each week, it cost me $2,200 to feed the team pregame meal. Each week I spend around $700 on Uber fares. So hear me out. This isn't a cry out for help, but more so a coach seeking donations. I will post the fundraising packages I put together later today, and I will provide my foundation's bank account information later today. If Teddy Bridgewater doesn't personally approach on behalf of the football team asking for donations, feel free to do what you want. The job will get done one way or another. But to those of you considering donating, I thank you in advance. P.S. These are all the things that I choose to do on my own and are not requirements for the boys to have according to the rule makers and those who make the decisions at Miami Northwestern. Feel free to donate. And he gives his email address to the foundation there. So he's footing a pretty hefty bill there. And that post was he posted that on July 7th, so a little over a week ago. So what do you think about this situation with Teddy Bridgewater and supposed impermissible gifts and the fact that he's now been suspended even though he isn't actually a coach or an employee of the school?
Wild business, man. And MLK stands for My Little Kitchen. So that's
Okay,
a Black-owned restaurant over there.
gotcha.
So yeah, man. So when he made that initial post, I saw stuff last week where there was this debate going on online where he was like, well, damn, bro, like, aren't you a football player? Haven't you amassed millions of dollars in your career? Why are you asking the community of these, struggling kids to be funding, the situation when you're the one that's a millionaire, but then once I saw the breakdown of how much he was, doling out, I get his whole situation of like, hey, bro, I'm volunteering here.
Yeah,
This is a lot of volunteer cash, and I wasn't Tom Brady. I was an NFL quarterback. I did make tens of millions of dollars, but I'm not made of money. And so can y'all help? And honestly, I don't see the harm in him asking because the community really lives off of it. So y'all go all the way to the title game. I know those seats was packed. I know that whole area was jumping and ecstatic. That all the alma mater were feeling good. So his whole thing is, hey, give a little, because everybody appreciate these boys, and I know y'all do too. So give $1, give $5 or whatever you can, to help for these Uber rides and to help to feed these guys. But rest and recovery and this and this and that, it all makes sense. Because when you look at these private schools that have these large facilities and clean jerseys, buses, these private schools are doing all of this stuff. But, I don't understand why Teddy can't, chip in, because where's the line with this? So a coach can't buy, his football team, some food after a game. Is that a line now? So he can't give any money? So is it you can't give any money, or is a cap to the money? What is this, a competitive advantage? Not if you're playing against private schools that this is part of their annual budget. So the 1 year he was there, so I'm pretty sure on top of his coaching acumen, it was also a situation where the guys were eating right, they was recovering right, they was able to go to and from practice, they were actually able to be in a football program. And the thing is that it's a really big deal down there in that area. And everybody knows, hey man, your son starts at the West, that's a thing. He's going somewhere, and so there's a whole community effort to make sure that them boys get out. And Teddy was actually sitting there doing it. So for him to get in this position where he's in hot water for it, suspended, it's bizarre. I don't like it. And I hope something positive comes out of this. Because Northwestern, Central, Carroll City, man, those schools that Booker T. Washington, I hold all those schools close to me, man, because whenever I see somebody that's either in college playing or in the league that's playing and they went to one of those schools, it's special, bro, because it's not one of those elite private schools. So, man, shout out to Teddy, man. I don't like this, and hopefully, like I said, something good comes out of it, man. But what are your thoughts, bro, on Teddy Bridgewater getting suspended because he was actually helping his football team out? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, we'd have to know the nature of the rules to determine how unfairly he's being treated in this situation, because all of that to me seems like something that shouldn't be deemed impermissible.
Right.
So I'm not exactly sure what we're talking about here is food and transportation and gear, and all of that stuff sounds reasonable. It's not taking them to strip clubs or putting them on yachts. So they're not doing stuff like what the U was doing back in the early 90s and the late 80s. So
hey, everybody did that.
So yeah, I'd have to do a deeper dive into the rules to determine why that is so impermissible. And furthermore, it kind of looks like if he's not going to do it, who will? Right. Type of situation, because without his contribution, it kind of looked like the team would have been devoid of those resources in order to be able to compete. But that exacerbates socioeconomics in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. The fact that if you want to have access to certain things, you have to physically put your kid in programs that are in different socioeconomic environments, meaning that you have to uproot them from their relative levels of comfort and environments that they are familiar with, put them in an unfamiliar environment just to give them a chance and an opportunity, because in their own familiar environment, they don't have the same opportunity because they don't have access to the same resources. Mm-hmm. So to me, this is putting a great microscope on the dichotomy between the haves and have-nots when it comes to these various high schools and the communities that they're in and the communities that they service, and the dire need for there to be some sort of an equivocation. But to your point, when you're dealing with private schools or charter schools, when you have all sorts of private funding coming in from people who can afford to support these programs, as opposed to schools like Northwestern, when you are dealing with people who cannot It becomes a rubber meets the road type situation. What do we do? Figure out ways to take our kids out of the environments that they're familiar with and uproot them and put them somewhere else to give them a chance, or figure out a way to build what is familiar so that it can have a better chance to compete in and of itself. It's unfortunate that that choice has to be made, but what is very obvious is, as prestigious and long-standing a history as the West has, the fact that he had to pay for there to
that's
be
crazy.
painted lines on the field,
Yeah, that's crazy.
that baffles me.
Mm-hmm.
Because going back to when I was in elementary school, that school is renowned for putting people in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they just won a state championship a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to have that level of notoriety and still be at a point when an individual is out of his own pocket paying for for painted lines on the field, I find that to be reprehensible.
Agreed.
And I don't understand what we're dealing with when we're talking about this. I don't know what's going on over there. Like what's going on with the city funding and what's going on with the dollars that needs to be poured into these schools that's not happening in order for basic fundamental things like painted lines on the field to take place. So, as far as I'm concerned, even if he broke every rule in the rule book to pay for that stuff, it was a righteous cause as far as I'm concerned.
I agree.
Because otherwise, they don't have a chance to compete, because you need all those things in order to be able to compete at the highest level. And they should be able to compete at the highest level. And there should at least be the chance to do that without having to considering uprooting yourself and going the private/charter route. So I hope nothing happens to him. Well, nothing's going to happen to him, but I hope it's not a situation where if he wants to get back into coaching, there's going to be some bureaucratic BS preventing him from doing it because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he should be allowed to continue to coach if he so chose.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, when it comes to that donation stuff, I hope that, he's able to rally people behind his cause. My guess is he will be able to. People tend to rally behind that stuff pretty quickly and effectively. So I definitely hope that happens, but I just hope that there's no bureaucratic red tape that prevents him from being a coach in the future, because he is somebody who comes from the community and he stands to do a lot of good being physically located there, continuing to do good.
Mm-hmm.
So to prevent him from the chance to do that just because he bought hot meals and gear and pay for certain things that the program actually needs in order to be able to function at an optimal level would, in my opinion, be a crime.
Yeah, agreed, man. And for people that's, because I'm sure there's some people that's like, come on, y'all, not that's watching our video. This is general about this situation. Like, this is just football. And there's more important things out there. And there's, this is just football, blah, 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 blah. But, like I said, man, that whole area, bro, football is everything. Basically, Northwestern, Central, they serve their football magnet schools. And one thing people's gonna have to understand is that professional football, even though it is a long shot, percentage wise, odds wise, the amount of football players right now that's playing in youth leagues, pee wee, and high school or whatever, the amount of people that actually get drafted, I mean, that number is minuscule. I get it, but it is still a professional league. All right. There's some magnet schools for dance and singing. How many of those people actually win Grammys? So the thing is that these schools are actually magnet programs for athletics, because they don't just start with football for these schools down there either. I mean, it's track and other things, band. So these are technically magnet schools that are functioning off public budgets and, and bad administration, because there's no reason that there shouldn't be lines painted. That's in the budget.
I don't understand that. Yeah, I don't get
that.
Yeah.
But that's why, some people might get mad or whatever, but that's why the West fell off. It was just Central for a while. And so, but Teddy comes and he boosts it by giving the kids the resources they need, and look what they do. So, it is a magnet program. I see them kids. You mentioned it before, man. Donate money at Publix. Like, you seen youth kids football stuff, and the only thing some of them kids got to do is just walk up to you with a helmet. People will drop $5 in there.
I do it all the time.
So it's just Bridge. I think it was wild. How it came out that Bridgewater, a millionaire, is asking for donations in that area. But now that we're seeing that, well, it's a problem for them even doing that in the first place. So what will a community do in that situation where y'all really do care about this? Mm-hmm. So, that $5 you spent on a scratch off or that whatever, give to them young men, because there's kids on that championship team now that will have NFL careers now because they actually had this experience with Teddy. So let's not stop it. Because I'm not one of them people that's running around here that said, let's roll the dice on athletics and sports. I think we're greater than that. However, a lot of these young men, they do sacrifice a lot, and their odds are higher from coming out of these locations.
Yeah.
So let's keep those odds high. Let's increase that, and let's see some of these guys actually succeed. So, best of luck to the team, man. Best of luck to, that area down there, man. I'm wishing y'all the best, and hopefully this gets resolved.
The last thing that I'll say as an aside, I find it fascinating how, economics are a fascinating thing, mm-hmm. because there's so much money being made at the top by the elites. Mm-hmm. Yet it seems like working class people are in the greatest state of despair. They're in a greater state of despair than they've ever been. I remember when I was growing up playing sports, I did optimist basketball. I did all the basketball. I did baseball. I was all over the place with sports. And, when you entered into these leagues, whether it was church league, Nike camp, whatever, you would pay, your parents would pay the dues to be in the league, and it covered the cost of everything.
Yep.
You got the uniforms, you got food and meals, transportation, all of it was taken care of. Fast forward to 2025, all of this money being made in all of these various industries, and you still have all of these youth groups and these sports leagues who need to post up at Publix to solicit donations from people because they can't afford to run the team without it.
Yep.
That's the craziest thing to me. Mm-hmm. Like, so, and they get me every week, bro. I'm in Publix like twice a week. And it never fails, bro. I show up, there's a baseball team, a basketball team, a Girl Scout troop, a soccer team, and I donate. Even sometimes I really don't want to, but I just do it anyway because I'm just thinking about the kids. Mm-hmm. And I be thinking to myself, like, when I was a kid, this wasn't as much of a thing. Mm-mm. Now I can't go to a grocery store without seeing this, and it's the parents and the kids, all of them out there together trying to get these donations up. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, what's going on with these youth leagues and these optimist leagues and these programs where the economics of these youth groups are now so heavily dependent on soliciting donations? I mean, and posting up at grocery stores.
The dudes are higher. I mean, you should see some of the equipment these kids is wearing. I mean, they look like pro leagues out there. They need that. They using it now.
Yeah,
but
I believe it's needed, but it's just crazy how this stuff works. Like, I don't know. I find it fascinating. You can read any index, any economics index. You can watch a lot of shows on the economy. Crypto is up, Bitcoin is up, all of this stuff is up, stocks are up, all of this stuff, all of these people are eating, all of these people making all of this money, allegedly, apparently, if you buy into what the internet's selling you, all of these people making money all over the place. Yet here we are at the point where youth groups need donations from strangers at grocery stores in order to keep things pushing. How much are people really eating for real? I feel like some of it I feel like to a certain degree, a lot of it is just hearsay and media fabrication. It's propaganda. I mean, yeah, elites are eating more than ever because they're exploiting so many people who have to work for a living.
Mhm.
But in terms of the people who actually are raising kids in these neighborhoods and these environments who are trying to have them do something constructive, whatever the fees and the dues are to be a part of the team isn't enough. You got to go post at Publix to get donations from people like me going into the store to get my meal prep.
Yep.
So I don't know. To me, I think that's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like this capitalism is a mother, bro. And you know, it's just interesting to see how with each passing year, it just feels like more and more people are broker than ever.
Yeah, and last thing I'll say, man, and just to, to piggyback off what you're talking about, just 1 year, because I think the year before, Bridgewater got there, I think they only won like, a handful of games. But here he comes with resources and caring, and these kids win a state title.
Right.
And so now people have a problem that he brought resources and caring. Winning a state championship in Florida is no joke. And so even if you want to strip away the fact that it's football, the fact that you took a group of young men who were failing before, and now the only thing they needed was resources and caring, and they achieved something that they never thought they would have in another regime, shows you the importance of having somebody there that cares with resources. And now you want to suspend that? It's absolutely ridiculous. So, rules are rules.
Well, then you need to change the rules.
You need to change the rules then. Because, and so this example should be an example to anybody. Like, no, I don't have enough money to be giving Uber rides for the entire football season and buying meals. I don't have those resources. But what this situation did show me is I do have enough resources to step in somewhere to give resources and caring, to change the lives of young people, to achieve something that they never did in a previous regime. So this whole situation sheds light, honestly, on what can be done, with just a little bit of effort and elbow grease.
Yeah.
So shouts out to Bridgewater and the community, man, the crib, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Shouts out to Teddy, bro. We've mentioned Teddy. We talked about Teddy on this channel. Teddy's a cool guy, bro. He's about the right stuff.
Yeah.
And also, shouts out to another Northwestern graduate, Ja'Cory Harris, out there fighting fires.
He a fireman?
Yeah, he a firefighter. Yeah, so shouts out. Look, in high school, didn't like them because they were always beating us in basketball.
Yeah.
But that's just friendly competition stuff. But I'm always ride for the Miami programs, bro, especially the ones that are in some of these neighborhoods.
Right.
And it's just, I hope whatever red tape they got him on, they need to either change the rule or just make it go away. Right. Because we sat here and we read through all of the stuff that he did. None of that to me seems improper.
Agreed.
Food, equipment, painted field, gear, rides, transportation. What's impermissible about that? But whatever, bro. Shouts out to Teddy, man. Keep doing your thing, bro. And with that, folks, that is another edition of the Conscious Support series in the books. Major shouts out to everybody who has been riding along with us. My name is JV Wins. That is Dogon SS. Check me out on Instagram at JV Wins, JVWINS. Check out Conscious Approach on Instagram, at TikTok, at Con Approach, CONAPPROACH. Also, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Whenever you are in the car, at the gym, and you want to listen to us audio style, we are now available in all of those areas as well. Major shout out to everybody who has been subscribing to the channel. We very much appreciate your sub. Thank you for liking the videos, leaving those comments, letting us know what you think about the commentary and all of our content as we strive to get better with the way that we deliver our takes and pick topics and how we do things over here on this channel. You don't need to agree with us. In fact, we prefer it if you don't. We're not trying to raise a cult. We're just trying to have some interesting conversations over here on this side. And as I always like to say, Don't be a group thinker. Have a mind of your own. Think for yourself. And until next time, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next video.
And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS, on YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, Facebook, TikTok. While it's still there, hey man, if there's a social media platform out there, Dogon SS is out there, man. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, and all that good jazz. And like I always say, guys, we really appreciate you guys for liking and commenting, as JV Winston said. All right, consciously leaving comments. Hey man, we be out here crushing it, man. This every Tuesday night, so make sure you guys log on in. All right, and if you haven't subscribed already, what are you waiting on? Okay, you don't get these jewels anywhere else on the internet. All right, so make sure you guys join the tribe. All right, and as I say every week, guys, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player, and don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next episode, ladies and gentlemen, I have more rings than Robert Ory. We'll see y'all in the next episode.
Yeah. Much better to watch us than to watch Cheyenne Bryant. That's for sure.
Come on, man. Y'all should watch us roast Cheyenne Bryant. Hey, bro. Cheyenne Bryant. Why don't you just join us on a conscious approach? We'll have a very intellectual conversation.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hope she gets ready for that if she accepts such an invitation. But yeah, we'll see y'all later, man. Until next time, stay righteous. We are out. Peace.
Man, go Canes, man. This our year, baby. Number 1.